I need to pee. Yeah, goddamn.
Wish us luck.
This LPL Pro presentation is proudly brought to you by Star Insurance.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the beautiful Sky City Sky Tower for the Let's Play Live Star Insurance Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship. It's episode 2. My name's Brendan White and I'm joined by the brains in the commentary, Simon Chapman. We are back. You excited?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Round one, a little bit tricky, I think. Rapona being a pretty tight and twisty circuit. We didn't see a heck of a lot of passing, but I think now with the circuit that we're going to head to and we'll reveal soon, it's going to be a good one.
Now, we are the ANZ Championship, so we're joining in. We've got Australia last week, took it off us, unfortunately.
Not good.
Not good. But Robert Northway, he was there and he was vying for the Kiwis. Now, before we get into any of this, Hampton Downs and Star Insurance Specialist is hooking it up. You guys at home, you can get flights, accommodation, and you can go and drive actually a Lamborghini, how to pronounce it? Huracan at Hampton Downs with all the goodies I couldn't pronounce, so I had to go to Simon. So all you've got to do is get onto the Let's Play Live Facebook page and see all the details there, and that could be you. And you could also come and witness it in the Sky City Theatre for the grand final. So we're going to get into all the details very, very shortly. But before we do that, Simon, let's just go straight into the tournament structure and find out why we're here in the Let's Play Live studios.
Brilliant. All right, so 16 races, 8 from Australia, 8 from New Zealand. We go to 7 tracks. We've already been to 1, Christchurch, Rapuna, 2 races per location. So if you get it wrong in the first one, you've got a chance to redeem yourself later on in the night. 6 weeks to make it into the top 8, it's a round robin, and then the top 8 competitors, they go through to week 7. They come here to LPL Studios here at Sky City, and they play for outright honours. First, second, and third get prize money. First getting the big one, which is obviously 3K.
That's right, the game settings. Now, we've got some mix-up from the first season we did Project Cars, Simon. There was I guess it was just cosmetic, as they say, and everything you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, guys, is on. What does that mean for the viewers at home?
Yeah, so one of the big things, obviously, last year was that you could see the cars getting damaged, but it didn't necessarily impact how the cars perform. So this year we've changed the settings so that if you guys bang doors and you smack your wheels a little bit, your alignment's going to be a little bit out. So you've got to be conscious of that, and obviously this car that we'll show you in a moment, it's very sensitive to things like that. But one thing you also notice too there, ABS, stability control, traction control, those are all on. That's all lifelike. Those cars in real life do have that, so we're not just putting the aids on just to make them feel good. So it's like real life. It's a real simulation.
So we're going to the car, explaining the Star Insurance, and Simon, take us away. What are we racing?
So this is the Ferrari 488 GT3 FIA homologated car, races all around the world, has had over 406 races in the span of just 3 seasons, reaches a top speed of 300 kilometers an hour. It goes from 0 to 100 in just 3.6 seconds, topping out at nearly 500 horsepower, weighs a little over a ton, but she's pretty light in the grand scheme of things.
Now, it's good to see this over, I guess, that big thing we had last year, the Ginetta. Now, this has got a bit of history around the traps too, doesn't it, though?
Yeah, it's had a bit of history not too far away from home. Bathurst, Mount Panorama, the circuit that we're going to be competing at later, won the 2017 edition of the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 Hour with Craig Lowndes, Jamie Wincup and Tony Vielander. So it's got a bit of pedigree. I think it won that race by over a lap.
All right, so 16 drivers this year. Last year we had 16, and they're Australia and New Zealand, all vying for $3,000. You've seen where we're going. But obviously, this one we're going somewhere different, and that's going to be pretty cool. So let's see where we're going in the grand scheme of things of the whole track schedule of the championship.
So here's our full 7 weeks. Round 1, obviously, we're at home, Christchurch, Rapuna, Mike Perra Motorsport Park, where we saw Kyle Madden win the first round overall on points. This week, we go to China, Zhuhai International Circuit for the 4-leg Asia experience, I suppose you could call it. We go to Japan 3 times, Zhuhai tonight. Then we go to Fuji Speedway, Sakito Circuit, which is based on Suzuka Circuit. Sports Lane Sugo, a personal favourite of mine, a bit like Teretonga down the South Island. Then we go to Dubai, to the Autodrome GP there, and then obviously the last one, the big one, which is Bathurst, Mount Panorama.
Mount Panorama, so that's really cool. Now, tournament ladder last week, yep, we saw an Australian take it out, but look, Robert Northway, Murphy's Law was right there in New Zealand. Who are some of the movers and shakers in this championship fight?
I think the big one that we've got to keep an eye on is down in P6 there, is Daniel Shields. He was head and shoulders above the rest of them last week, but unfortunately in the second race, while he was leading, he came into the pit lane, but unfortunately hit the wall, and that caused him to disconnect. So unfortunately he's 124 points back of the lead, but I'll be keeping an eye on him tonight. However, Zhuhai International Circuit is quite wide. It's a polar opposite compared to Mike Perra Motorsport Park down in Christchurch, so I think there'll be a lot more in terms of opportunities to overtake, and it'll definitely separate the boys from the men.
16 races, 7 locations around the world, and all vying for that title. Australia versus New Zealand. Right now, Australia's leading the championship. So if you're tuning in on, I guess, Twitch or Sky, if you're on Twitch, join the conversation and get involved. We're going to be chucking away some cool mammoth prizes. You've got the Lamborghini prize thanks to Hampton Downs and Star Insurance. So get onto our Facebook page on there. We're going to come back after the break and hook you up with all of that. So we'll see you very shortly.
The Star Insurance Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship is proudly brought to you in association with Mammoth. Crush any task.
Like us, you're passionate about cars. At Star Insurance Specialist, we create custom policies for Kiwis with exceptional vehicles. If you own a vintage, classic, performance, project or prestige car, your needs don't fit neatly into a box. We think special and unique cars deserve special and unique insurance. We don't let robots determine policy or price. Get on the road with a custom policy from Star Insurance Specialists. Go to starinsure.co.nz today.
Need a ride? Thanks to All Out and Let's Play Live, we are hooking you up. Simply download the All Out app and type in the code Let's Ride to get your first ride free. T's and C's apply.
The title fight is here. Join us at Manfield Raceway for the Galore Parks D1NZ Championship Grand Final. 5 drivers line up for their shot at the final podium of the season. For the first time ever, it's Nissan versus Ford. Will Darren Kelly score another victory for the RBs, or will Fanga Dan bring the V8 heat with Adam Davies right behind in his 13B Rotary? Plus, it's the final round of the Turbo Smart Pro Sport Restricted class, with Michael Thorley battling Taylor James and Kurt Blackie for the 2019 title. Champions will be crowned. Mimico Industrial Machinery presents Round 5, the Grand Final, Manfield Circuit, Chris Amon, April 26th and 27th, 2019. Tickets at the gate or book online at d1nz.com.
Test your limit. Drive with the fastest.
Through into the inside. Has he got it, McQueen? Will he block?
Take control.
And he gets it. Job done. Can he hold on to it?
Redefine speed.
It's a drag race to the finish. Who's it going to be?
Fantastic racing. Look, he is pumped. He is absolutely stoked.
Be the fastest.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are live out of Auckland, SkyCITY Sky Tower, the Let's Play Live studio. It's Mammoth time, that's right. You can win a case of Mammoth. All you've got to do is get onto our Facebook page, Let's Play Live HQ, make it Mammoth. Get in there and you'll find out how you can win yourself one of these beautiful iced chocolates or iced coffees. And lots of winning, and also obviously that opportunity to win the flight accommodation and the Lamborghini Huracan, there we go. So Simon, last week, highlights for you, Daniel Shields. He was going really well.
Yeah, he really dominated proceedings. I think it was obviously an all-Aussie affair last week. I'd like to see some of the Kiwis come through. I think this week's race at Zhuhai is going to be better for overtaking, a lot more overtaking opportunities. It's a wider circuit, and there's just more opportunities. There's opportunities to qualify really high up the order, and I think we'll see some Kiwis come through.
Cool. All right, well, guys, let's go and see exactly the track conditions and where we're racing and all about the corners. Simon, run us through it.
So this is Zhuhai International Circuit. It's one of China's biggest circuits. You can see in the background there the gigantic grandstand, and it's the reason why they have such a massive grandstand there, and that's because back in 1998 when they first built the circuit, they were vying for the Formula 1 Grand Prix there, the Chinese Grand Prix, but unfortunately they just missed out. So it's a pretty comprehensive circuit. It's got some amazing facilities, some great opportunities to overtake down at the final corner and at turn 1. One place that we might try and see, guys, you can see in the background now, that's turn 4. It actually tightens up a lot on corner exit there, so if you're trying to make a pass there, you've got to get it done before the corner. So it's a cool track, some hairpins, also some opportunities to pass through there. I think we might see guys get caught out of turn 1. It's a double apex right-hander, but the track actually falls away a little bit, so it makes it a little bit awkward on exit there with these cars. It sort of tricks the traction control, and the cars can actually get a little bit loose. So I'll be fascinated to see how these guys qualify. We might see a few incidents at the start of the race there because the track is a little bit tricky down there through the first couple of corners, so I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. And talking about qualifying, well, guys, we have 16 races and they're all ready to get underway right now here in the LPL studios. They're in the lobby and they're joining in, and they're actually getting into position online. It's a new concept. So the lobby side of it, explain that to me just really quickly. I know a lot of the gamers at home already know about this, but if they don't,
it's a bit like being on the dummy grid, right?
Yeah.
When you're gearing up to go for your race,
yep.
You sit on the dummy grid just behind pit lane in your car waiting. It's much like that. It's basically your dummy grid, but for online gaming. So you basically go into a lobby, it's a room with all the other competitors, and you basically wait there for the session to start. So the session is underway. We've got the best part of 7 minutes remaining in our first qualifying session. So these guys won't have set a lap time yet. They'll be warming up their tyres. You'll be wondering why Mr. Kyle Madden there is doing that. That's to warm his tyres up, get to grips with things, rubber in the circuit, and hopefully lay down a purple sector.
That's funny, because a lot of people be like, but it's a computer game. But actually, it is so realistic. Like we said, don't discount this. The damage is on, the heat, getting the heat into the tyres, the actual track, the undulations, the changes. It all plays a huge part in this. Now, it's going to be really interesting also to see who did the time last... Who did the time last week, and who actually, I guess, got involved. Many of the guys, you saw a massive disparity from the top of the field to the bottom of the field.
Yeah, big time. It was unfortunate. We saw guys probably the best part of 10 seconds between first and last, so a little bit awkward there for some of those guys down the back of the end. A little bit concerning, I suppose, but for a track like Mike Perrin Motorsport Park, you know, it's not uncommon for there to be not a heck of a lot of overtaking, but I'm pretty confident once we get into racing here tonight, we'll see quite a bit of action. And I think also you've got to take into consideration there were a few issues there last week around, you know, guys not wanting to test the limits too much with the damage. Yeah. So maybe playing it a little bit coy. I would say this week we'll see guys really go hell for leather in those first couple of laps.
Well, I often said who is going to be the doctor, who's going to run the clinic on the track tonight. Now, the standouts, as you know, Robert Northway, he's one of our I guess, our Kiwi hopefuls. Daniel Shields in from Australia, North Lakes, Brisbane. So cool that we've got internationals tuning in here. So they're in their own homes, they're in the lobby, and they're now qualifying, and it's for the Project Cars 2 Championship, ANZ. It's pretty cool, ANZ in itself.
Yeah, well, we spoke about it last season. Obviously, 8 competitors from New Zealand. We had them in studio. At the end of the season, they sort of asked us, you know, what can we do to make it different? I said, well, double the field, you know, why not?
Exactly, yeah.
So it's good to see LPL taking the initiative and basically doubling this field, getting a bit of international interest. You know, the qualifying took place for several weeks. These guys got to basically try and set a benchmark and qualify for the event. So I think there's a service that you can tune into where you can find out where all the events are on, all the forthcoming events, and that'll keep you up to date. So go onto the LPL Facebook page and you can find out a little bit more there. Yeah,
lots of people were definitely interested in this, but there's only 16 spots, and as we go through, at the end of it, round 6 gets cut to 8.
Yeah.
Now, those 8 actually get to come into SkyCITY Theatre. We did it with a GT one a couple of years back, where we actually transformed the SkyCITY Theatre into an awesome gaming arena. So we have them out on stage, and they're all going to vie for that title of $3,000 in Project Cars ANZ Championship. So if Daniel Shields leading, he's going to come over from Australia. Now, you guys at home can actually come and be a part of that. Tickets are on sale now, and all the details are on our Facebook page. $5. Can't go wrong.
Why not?
You know, then obviously come and enjoy the fruits of SkyCITY.
Yeah, totally. And even if you don't win the championship, finishing second or third, you still get $2,000 or $1,000. You know, so it's still a pretty sizable prize packet just for cutting some laps for a few weeks.
Now, something we talked about last week, and these race teams, you know, like McLaren, Ferrari, and all the various teams having their simulator setups and different programs for Nissan. Now, just yesterday or today? Just today. Supercars announced they've got their own thing going on, and what an amazing setup. Yeah, following sort of the likes of NASCAR and Formula One with their own bespoke sort of championships. You know, Formula One's got their own video game. You know, so does NASCAR. They've got their own game. Well, NASCAR in itself, $100,000. America, obviously, it's America, and everything's insanely ridiculous as far as prize money goes. $100,000 for an E-Series over there for just one. But E-Series is filling stadiums now, so it's not just I guess racing. It's everything. Yeah, I guess for us too, you know, New Zealand, we're kind of small fry in the scope of esports. So I think for us to sort of get onto the market with this championship, you know, we started with Gran Turismo Sport, then the first round of the Project Cars Championship last year, and this is only effectively the third go at it. So it's growing year on year. You know, we're seeing more competitors being involved. I think it's sort of a litmus test for LPL moving forward, and
I wouldn't be surprised if things get a lot more serious in years to come with a lot of those official governing bodies, like Motorsport New Zealand and Supercars getting involved with video gaming.
Yeah, rad. Now, not really a huge surprise, but as you see on the top there, Maddie, right straight away, Maddie sitting in 1:32.086. Now, what was the lap time? Do you know the lap record here? Is it around that time?
Yeah, it's around a 1:31, I believe. So Kyle Madden, obviously,
Kyle Madden.
Yeah, he's made a good start there. 6/10 ahead of the next man there, Daniel Shields. So Aussies 1-2 again. So it's interesting to see that. We're looking down in third now, just trying to get an idea of that. As I think that might be Monkey Matt Smith. He's sitting down there in third. He's only a second adrift. So at the moment, between the guys who have actually set a lap, there's only 5 seconds between them. So obviously a big leap forward in terms of the skill of these guys over last week.
Wow, so that top 1:32 is actually really, really close to one of the world record of
only a
this
couple
track.
of tenths. Yeah, so
Ridiculous.
And this is in a professional setting now, So obviously the track conditions that the guys have set up for tonight are working really well. We've got a bit of a haze, standard China haze in Zhuhai.
So one thing that I was, we've asked the boys a few questions. So Kyle Madden asked them a few questions about his life, and he actually cruised. He cruised for the 14 sprint team over in Australia, and yeah, but he wanted to stress that he has no relation to the Madden brothers or the NFL coach. I don't know why he wanted to stress that, but Kyle Madden currently out in the lead at the moment, and so. Brisbane, Australia. I'm not sure if Daniel Shields and Kyle Madden hang out together, but they're both from Brisbane. And
Brisbane's a pretty big place.
Yeah, obviously. Esports is a tight-knit community here, Simon. Funny, ha. Right, so Shields in the pits already. No one else in the pit. So basically, when you see on the left-hand side of your screen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be giving you stats through the whole race. Right now, we have 44 seconds left in qualifying, so that went real quick.
Yeah, that did go fast. Us talking, obviously, when you're having fun, things go pretty quickly. So it looks like Robert Murphy's Law Northway there, just maybe having a little bit of traffic in front of him. So at the moment, we'll just try and get an eye on him. I think he's currently sitting down in P4. Now, if you're sitting at home, we're just about to finish qualifying. If you're watching via Sky Sport, get on twitch.tv, search up letsplay.live, get on the live stream, get on the chat, and come and join us and have a yarn. If you want to ask some questions, get on there. If you're already on the chat,
join
on the live
yards.
stream,
Join the banter.
Ask us some questions. If you want to know anything.
Your best mammoth slogan.
Yeah.
There we go.
Your best mammoth moment. Have you had a mammoth moment on the racetrack before? Get on the chat. Have a yarn with us. We'll be keeping an eye on the chat, and if you have any major questions that you want to ask, we'll be here and we'll keep an eye on that. So currently, as it stands, Mr. Madden currently P1, a whopping 6/10 ahead of Mr. Daniel Shields. We sort of expected Shields to be the man to beat, but unfortunately he's only P2 at the moment. Mr. Monkey Man, Matt Smith, P3, Robert Northway down P4. And another man, Pluck. Mr. Pluck. Now, he showed glimpses of being pretty quick at Ruapuna, but unfortunately didn't quite manage to get a win or a podium, so we'll hopefully see a bit of pace from him.
One thing I was noticing with Pluck, he doesn't do a lot of practice, 2 to 4 hours a week. There's some of these guys actually spending 20 to 30 hours practicing.
30 hours?
Yep.
Do they have jobs?
Well, clearly some of these guys don't. So, 10 to 20 hours for Simon Bishop, your friend at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's solid effort, and we did see this last year. Jordan, he was on it constantly. I think he actually now flats with another Project Cars. So Project Cars uniting people, as I said. He flats with one of the other competitors last year. They had a bit of cross banter. It was Josh Revel. He actually now flats with.
Crazy.
Yeah. But you see them on the Sims. They're still doing it, which is great. But big thanks to Ola as well. If you guys want a new app to get yourselves around town, check out the App Store and check out Ola at the moment. You would have heard last week if you tuned in. Some really good giveaways going on there. You get the $20 off your first ride, I think it is. You get a coupon code, just Let's Ride, for a free chip. Download. Hola.
So there we go. Session's already done. Mr. Madden.
There you go, ladies
Madden,
and gentlemen.
P1.
Your qualifying order. Madden, straight there. It's the Australians again, but we do have some hopes right now. Robert Murphy's Law. So some of these guys, they don't like their real names in there, I noticed, Simon.
It's just a thing with esports. A lot of guys will they say it's the spirit of esports, you know, having your gamer tag. But one thing to note there, Daniel Shields, he's got a one-place grid penalty, so wonder what's happened there. Maybe he's had a bit of an off-road excursion, maybe impeded. Maybe that was what we saw before with Robert Northway. He was out there on his own and there was that car that had to take evasive action on the track. So maybe a few issues there for Daniel Shields and qualifying, so he's taken a one-place grid penalty.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You're 1 to 10 further down the street. Sam Hunter, Daniel Main, Alistair Curcuit, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. And, you know, you're seeing familiar names up the top. Simon, obviously, a bit further down than you'd like to see. Dave Roberts, Roy Oliver, Shane T, George and Daniel Pickman. Daniel Pickman actually won 24 Hours of Lemons. Le Mans, you know, I guess it's the take the Mickey of the actual Le Mans race recently. So Daniel Pickman there, so I guess you could call him Le Mans royalty.
Yeah.
So yes, look, any surprises there, Simon, as far as qualifying goes?
Oh, Daniel, actually, I would have thought he might have been further up. You know, last week we saw him having a bit of pace. He was in around the top 5. Unfortunately, he's not set a very good lap time there, so maybe he's had a few issues in qualifying there. Not sure what the issue is there for them, but we're about to go racing here. 21 laps of Zhuhai International Circuit. You can just see now, as we look down the front straight, just how wide that circuit is. So there's room for the best part of about 5 or 6 car widths if you're really daring to go down into turn 1, but obviously it narrows a lot once you get on corner exits. So we look forward to the start here. Kyle Madden starting on pole position alongside him will be Robert Northway after Daniel Shields got that grid penalty. So here we go. The race is about to get underway. Who will get the whole shot into turn 1? Hard to tell at this point. Oh, it looks like there's a bit of drama down behind there. Someone getting fenced. And it looks like Robert Murphy's Law Northway has got the whole shot into turn 1. Daniel Shields slotting into P2 there.
Kyle Madden's actually taking the jump already.
Wow, Shields actually dropping down to 6. So a bad start from Shields. It was actually Kyle Madden who got the jump there. And Pluck, he's got all the way up to P3 now. So great start there from Pluck to get up onto the podium positions. These guys running identical colours in 2nd and 3rd now, so that makes it a little bit tricky to call. So we see a couple guys go wide off the track. There's a bit of drama. Oh no, Simon Bishop, he's off. There's a bit of drama there. He's in the wall. He's sustained substantial damage to one of the cars behind.
Now, that's actually going to really hinder him in this race because damage is on. That hit is totally basically chuck this race out.
More drama.
More drama.
Bishop getting into the weeds there. Looked like a couple of other cars going around as you see Kyle Madden going for P2 here. Can he get Pluck? Not quite. That's not a place you want to be getting down the inside there, and this is going to help Robert Murphy's Law Northway edge out ahead. So the current situation is Northway leads Pluck, leads Madden. Oh, Robert Northway's gone really deep. That's going to open up the door for Pluck there. Can Pluck get down the inside? It's a wide corner, so he might be able to get a good run here. Can Northway hang on to the lead? There's a quick left-hander coming up, but it looks like he's relinquished the spot and Pluck has taken the lead. So Pluck, we didn't think... Oh, actually interesting. So Northway's coming into the pit lane. That's an interesting decision by him this early on in the race. I know that you've got to take a pit stop, but taking it on lap 1, that's a really interesting strategy.
So we didn't miss any damage there when he was on lap 1. That was some exceptional... Now, these big wide tracks, you were saying it to us, you're going to see some good racing now. Can they maintain that?
Yeah, well, already some drama. So Michael Robinson, he's coming into the pits in the DHL-sponsored car. Got a bit of front-end damage, and it looks like... Oh, no, he managed to go through one of the other pits to get to his own. Simon Bishop, he's going to take some new tyres, possibly, and some fuel, repair his car. There were a few other guys who maybe had a bit of an issue there. Roy Oliver, he's come into the pit lane as well. We see also, can't see who else has made it into the pit as well. There's a few guys down there from about 11th onwards. So Robert Northway, the first guy to pit there. Possibly a strategy decision by Northway, knowing that there's probably going to be a bit of drama behind him.
Too early maybe.
Oh, a little bit of drama there. Madden.
Look, now Pluck is actually, you know, he was 5th in the New Zealand Karting Championship previously. He's from the Garden City, so he knows how to defend, he knows how to race. So he's not going to be, I guess, stressed out in the front. He's used to it. He's been on the track.
Yeah, he knows what it's like to lead a race, probably, but driving a Ferrari 488 GT3, it's a sort of a different
beast.
Different bag to deal with. So we watch these two guys out in the front in identical liveries. We'll keep an eye on the battle for 3rd as well now, because that's changed a lot. Monkey Matt battling now to keep Shields behind him. Shields, who had a horrific start, dropped down from 3rd to 6th. He's managed to make his way back up onto the podium places, but keep in mind that Robert Northway, who was our race leader, currently sits down in P11 now. So we spoke about the undercut last week, you know, the opportunity to go into the pits early, as we see Shields make an uncharacteristic mistake there. Pitting early, try and get a bit of clean air.
And make it back up while everybody else.
Totally. So that could be a decision that he's made. We'll keep an eye on his times. He did a 2:03 the last time round. So that was on his lap time that he actually pitted. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. He did a 1:36.0. So maybe not the best decision just yet. Isn't paying off if he's setting 1:36s, because you want to be going a lot faster than what the leaders are doing to actually effectively create that undercut.
Madden now putting the pressure on Pluck up the front as well. Riding on board right now with Monkey Matt in front. You can see Shields. Now, very strong competitors last week in the championship. No one else seeing big disparity from 1, 2, 3, 4 behind them. They're quite a fair way back. All right, here we go. The battle for first and second.
Here we go. Shields is just sitting back with these guys. So Kyle Madden, he's got the sights set on Pluck for the lead. Pluck goes narrow and he gets a little bit loose there on corner exit. Here's an opportunity for Madden to get a good run on Pluck here for the lead. Can he get to the outside, which will give him the inside here for the final corner? I said it was a good opportunity for overtaking these guys in identical liveries. Oh, just backs out of it, thinks better of it. We are only on lap 3. As far as I'm concerned at this point. So, you know, you've got a lot of time to play with. He gets a good run on him now, tucks under the rear wing, gets the slipstream. They go side by side down the front straight. Looks like Madden's going to get this position done as long as he doesn't make any mistakes into turn 1. Pluck breaks really deep and really late. Can he hold with him? This is fantastic driving by these two guys. Pluck just hangs on his outside, gives him a bit of hip and shoulder as they head into turn 3 now, side by side. Still they go. More door-to-door banging. He's got the inside line. Madden tries to swing around the outside, but Pluck maintains the lead there. Fantastic driving from these guys, but that's allowing Shields to get in on the battle too.
All right, the attack now comes. So it's really unfortunately Kyle Madden is just sitting back again now. Shields, he's obviously had some clean air. He's closed the gap. Now it's going to be a battle for first, second and third, and they've got to keep it clean in between first and second, or they're just going to open that door for Shields as Monkey Matt just sits in the back and just watches what unfolds here. On board with Shields now, coming into the left-hander. Challenge there. Bit messy there from Kyle Madden.
Yeah, not the best run through that corner there. That's cost him a bit of time there to Pluck, and that's allowed Shields to get onto the rear of him. It looks like Shields, he's just going to maybe bide his time a little bit. We saw this last week. He got into a little bit of an awkward position and didn't quite make the most of his start and had to take his time, and it looked like there's a mistake there. Oh, no contact. Shields has been taken out as well. Madden. Oh, no. Horrific mistake from him there.
The Kiwi out in front, and that picks up a spot as well for...
Yeah, that's Monkey Matt.
Matt Madden has gone... No, Daniel Shields into the pit to obviously get some attention.
Yeah, costly mistake there. So Pluck gets an absolute free kick now. He's got a 3.5 second lead over Monkey Man Matt Smith. Shields has come into the pits. So has Madden. So it's forced their hand early. We said last week that these guys were taking their time, but here we go. We can see, yeah, he just gets out on the grass there. Madden, a costly mistake. And a rookie one at that, for one that is only on lap 3 of the race. So unfortunate for these guys that early on.
We want, Simon, though. We want door-to-door racing. Maybe not spinning out and taking each other out. Door-to-door racing. Excitement. What action in the first 3 laps here. Star Insurance presenting the Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship.
Whoa, Monkey Man Matt.
Now, we talked a bit about this last week, the default setup on the front of these car, oversteer, understeer. What were the drivers' feedback on that?
A lot of the guys were saying that the rears lock up a lot.
Right.
They don't have a lot of control over the setup of these cars, so they can't do much. They tend to oversteer on exit, and they tend to get a little bit sideways on entry to the corner as well. So not sort of matching the characteristics of a real-life GT3 car, unfortunately. A GT3 car is generally a lot pointier.
Yep.
And when you say pointier, it can actually get into the corners and grip, and probably understeers more.
More feeling like your A1 GP, your open-wheeler car.
Moves around your hips.
Yeah, right.
That's the way to sort of think about it. It moves around your hips. So, you know, you can turn the car into the corner and it'll make it just fine. So these guys looking like they're battling a little bit at the moment. Pluck at the moment is not, because he's got a 4-second lead.
Air.
We did say we wanted a little bit of drama, but unfortunately what that's meant is that he's got an absolutely massive lead over Monkey Man Matt Smith.
Bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that while he's out the front, Robert Northway, 6th position. He has had his pit where Pluck has not. So you're going to see some of these changes, aren't you?
Well, this is part of the undercut that we're talking about. You know, he started up in the lead, he dropped back down to about 11th or 12th now, and some of those other guys have now pitted, so he's now been able to effectively execute that undercut and is now into P5 now as we see some more guys take their pits. So I think the crucial bit to keep an eye on there is Madden, and he's down in 11th.
So that's
and Shields, who's now 6th.
Damien Main enters in the pits, which allows obviously Northway to jump up to chase for 4th position. Where are we? We are looking at way further down the field at the moment.
Yes, this is Madden.
Position.
Madden trying to get back on, might be Northway here, so no, Northway's currently P5, so this is actually, I think, Michael Robinson now battling for 8th and 9th.
Right now, we saw Michael Robinson last year as well. Where did he place in?
He wasn't in the prize money, I know that. He was very much dejected at his performance, so he was very much a wooden spoon, second to last, I'm told, in fact. So he's actually going to let Kyle Madden go by because obviously he thinks that Madden's a lot faster. So unfortunate there, Robinson, perhaps not the most confident at the moment.
All right, currently sitting in lap 6 of 21. Pluck. Clean air, 133. You can see the huge difference in the lap times. 135's further down the field.
Oh no! Madden's made a mistake again. He's just spun all on his own. We were talking about that oversteer that these guys are suffering with, and he's just made a massive mistake. So that's going to end any chance of him trying to win this race as we watch Robert Murphy's Law Northway mount an attack there.
Does it nice and cleanly and takes that 4th position.
So that's Jordan McCann that he's just passed now. So he's not far away from actually catching up to these guys. So this is, look, he's just done it. Northway's back into the lead now. Pluck's made his pit stop and he's executed that undercut to perfection. So now there are 2 guys ahead of him. Matt Smith, who still needs to make his pit stop. And also...
Monkey, is it Monkey?
Yeah, Monkey Man, yeah, he's in the lead at the moment, but I'm just trying to pick up who's in P2 at the moment. We think that's Sam Ross Hunter, and he's only 5 seconds down the road from Matt Smith. So I think once Matt Smith and Hunter eventually come into the pit lane, Robert Murphy is going to have an easy lead here. So we're just going to watch that replay there. Yeah, just spun all on his own. Kyle Madden. So these guys may be feeling the pressure, took advantage of the opportunities at Ruapuna last week, but now find themselves in trouble.
Now, Robert Northway, one thing, he's got multiple track world records around the place in lap times. I think it was Saguna, he had that last year. He always seems to, that pressure gets on him, and last year what we saw is he just sometimes just let that pressure crack him. And you just saw it with Kyle Madden. Just, you know, obviously these cars, these 488s, just not as settled as they want to be, so they've got to be so careful about it.
A little bit too loose, I think, for these guys, and it's interesting to see. I think the best option there was actually to take that pit stop really early there for Northway, because now he's basically out in clear air. He's 11 seconds adrift of Monkey Man Matt Smith, and once he comes into the pit lane, and as Hunter comes into the pit lane as well, he'll be out in clear air. So currently he's got the best part of 4 seconds on the next man behind him, which is Jordan McCann, and I'm not sure. Yeah, Jordan's just making his pit stop now, so Pluck goes into P4, which will probably effectively be P2, maybe once Matt Smith has taken his pit stop as well, and that will leave Northway with the best part of a 5-second lead. So whether or not Northway can hold on, that's another question though.
All right, on board with Monkey Matt. Out in the lead, clean air, 1 minute 34 behind him, 1 minute 35. However, Robert Northway, 1 minute 33. So you can see Northway, the lap times on your left-hand side of the screen, Northway banking the fastest scores at the moment. Shields still climbing, 134, one position there behind Pluck. So still those front runners that you've seen in the past, round climbing up. But that move, that execution, now I thought it was because of damage, but it was actually a very, very good tactical move by Robert Northway.
Yeah, interesting now to watch. Shields is actually making some headway at the front, it looks like. He's managed to get into P5 now. We watched Dave Roberts, he's currently battling down in 9th, so that was actually Simon Bishop that we watched just past him. So Roberts is now battling with, I believe, that's Damien Main, and he just lets him by. So not fighting too much, Dave Roberts, to hold on to position at the moment, perhaps knowing that these guys around him are a little bit quicker. But we'll keep an eye on now Kyle Madden. He's dropped down to P7, so not the worst, but he'll need to make up a lot of time if he wants to be into podium contention later in this race.
Slam onto also in pit right now. Cambridge, New Zealand.
Interesting to see now, Robert Northway is actually within range, visual range of Matt Smith now. 11 seconds seems like a lot, but once Matt Smith comes into the pit lane, he has to chuck that pit lane speed limiter on. That'll slow him right down, and Northway will probably just be able to blitz him.
Well, even after those, you know, those huge upsets in those first initial laps, you've got Northway, Pluck, Shields, second, third, fourth, 11 seconds, so 5-second gap between Northway and Pluck. And as long as Northway keeps it nice and steady and keeps it clean, then he will definitely be looking. We are only on lap 9 of 21 though, Simon.
Plenty of time left in this race. Now we've got a couple of questions here in the chat. One coming through. Other drivers here competing?
So no, the drivers at the moment don't. They are all in the lobby. They're all, so a couple of the boys, it's an Australian-New Zealand championship. So they're actually racing from home at this current. Robert now looks in. Now this is just, by the looks of it, lapped traffic. So that's just lap traffic. Robert just doing a lap traffic. So no, we've got the boys in Brisbane, Victoria, Australia. We've got some guys up by Bathurst. So the Australian boys, we're all tuned in. It goes all the way down to number 6, championship race 6. And after that, we'll find our top 8. Our top 8 will then come into SkyCITY Theatre, where you can all come along, and lots of prizes on the night. And we'll be live outside of SkyCITY Theatre, and $5 to come tune that. So no, they all from their different parts. You've got Christchurch, Rotorua, Christchurch, Pataru, Brisbane, Victoria, Hamilton, Massey, Puhoi, Dunedin, all over the place, and Christchurch.
Another question coming in, are these guys racing on controllers? Not traditional controllers like your Xbox or your PlayStation, but actual steering wheels made by Thrustmaster, Logitech, Fanatec, if you're privileged enough to be able to afford one of those.
Yeah, look, everyone's different in their setups at home. A lot of people, you know, a lot of people do run the Logitech setup. Prefer the Logitech setup, but that's the thing with esports, especially racing. You know, some setups are amazing. Thrustmaster bring out some amazing gear, and we've seen the setups here in the studio, and we'll see them on stage for race 7. But no, everyone runs different. Well, some may have the same, but multiple different setups.
Yeah, and Logitech was sort of one of the pioneers early on when it came to that sort of technology in terms of mass-produced steering wheels. As we see a replay here, Monkey Matt just getting past one of the lap traffic cars, maybe looking at his rear view mirrors and just locking up the rear. So Logitech with their, I believe the G25 was one of the first big wheels that came out back in the early 2000s. G27 basically lasted for the best part of 10 years before they updated that. So only in the last couple of years have they actually come out with a new generation steering wheel, which has proven to be quite popular amongst users. And it's good. It's a good entry level because it works with your PlayStation 4, it works with your computer, and it's not that expensive.
When you compare it to something like, hey, let's go down to Hampton Downs and drive the
Huracan.
You know, hey, that's quite easy to do. I think it's like $180, $200 or something to these different variations of what you can drive. But say if you want to actually get into motorsport and do something like this, you're talking tens and tens of thousands of dollars. So it's a great way to test your skill sets and to actually get a taste of it. You know, the controllers have force feedback now, so you actually feel the car like when you're on a rumble strip. You can actually get from Thrustmaster New Zealand, you can actually get your motion sensors, your gyro sensors that sit in your seat. So a lot of cool things like that are actually coming out to make it a lot more realistic. We see Daniel Pinkman, the 24-hour Le Mans champ, in the pits at the moment. Now that's something in itself that's coming up. It's a 24-hour race, and that would be something really cool to be a part of. So he took that out, team of 5, and they go for 24 hours around Hampton Downs, I think it is.
Also, sim racing.
Still leading though.
Sim racing's good, obviously, too. If you want to be a race car driver, maybe at a young age, and you're like, oh heck, I don't want to get mum to fork out $5 or $6 grand for a go-kart. Just buy project cars too. See if you're any good.
Yeah, and I actually saw that happen to quite a few people after last season. They all got into it and got sim setups. So 11 seconds on the clock, or 12 seconds now. Right, so Cyber Game is another way to give it a go, I guess, if you want to check it out. Now, for those joining in and you're tuning in on Sky TV, we're actually running a simulcast as well. You can actually join a chat out on Twitch. Just download the Twitch app, and who do they search for, Simon, if they want to join in on the chat?
Just go on the chat and look up letsplay.live, and the live broadcast should be right there waiting for you. You can come in the chat, have a yarn with us.
We just saw What is going
Wow.
through his head?
Okay.
We don't have dual pits this championship
No, well,
round.
that's
so
an interesting one there by Robert Northway. I wonder whether maybe his tyres were going off. It's a GT3 tyre, so generally it doesn't
now
go
it's
off
dropped
that
him
bad.
to 5th, and he's going to be...
Wow, he's battling, it looks like maybe with Kyle Madden now. So Northway's dropped him down to P5 effectively on the road now. So a bit of drama here. Robert Northway opting to take a pit stop. Not really sure why, considering he took a pit stop at the start. I don't know whether there are rules around when you can take your pit stop.
Yeah, no, there's definitely only one pit stop, and he's taken the pit stop, and he could take it at any one stage in the race. So Monkey Matt, he had to come in for a pit, so he had the lead. He goes for the pass now on Kyle Madden.
Madden, he's been prone to a lot of mistakes in this race, just hanging it wide on corner entry there, and it's not doing him any favours at the moment. But at the same time, Robert Northway is getting held up here, and he's losing an opportunity here to get a podium, and it looked almost certain that he'd get a race win. Maybe a little bit of nose-to-tail contact there. There's a bit of traffic up ahead too that these guys will have to negotiate here in a moment, it seems. So Robert Northway currently hustling to get by. Madden Shields is some 17 seconds up the road now. Northway goes around the outside. He's got traffic to deal with though. Tries and get the switchback on the corner exit here at the hairpin. Madden goes wide. Northway shows his nose here. Can he get a move done into the final corner? This is an opportunity that he could take. Will he jink right? No. Stays in behind. Now, here's an opportunity here, though, because he's got the long straight. He can utilise the slipstream here, and we can already see Madden going on the defensive. So Madden swerving left and right. Not really sure whether that's kosher. Blocking, perhaps, one might argue, more than one move, that's for sure. Northway loose.
Now, Northway gets loose. Now, we talked about this last week, Simon. What's considered, I guess, one block is okay now. If you come over and you have a block, that's fine. But if you swerve back to the other side of the track and swerve, not kosher?
Well, see, here's an interesting thing, because Madden, some might look at that and say, oh, he's just warming up his tyres. But going from one side of the track to the other, in what looked like a defensive move to try and break the slipstream, that's definitely put Northway off, and he's made a mistake down at turn 1. So whether or not he wants to protest that, I'm not sure. I'd definitely be pretty annoyed if I was a race car driver seeing a guy swerving all over the road in front of me.
Excuse me, how does that work in the sense of a protester? So I don't know, because I don't do, I guess, straight line racing. I do drifting. We've got the grand final next week. It's a shameless plug right now. If you're tuning in, Manfield Raceway next weekend. It's the D1NZ grand final. Get down there and see Ford versus Nissan. Manufacturers battle for first and second, Adam Davies in third. But going back to the in-racing, 16-car grid, how does that work?
Basically, you've got 24 hours to make a claim that you feel like you've been done wrong.
Right.
Northway could say to the officials, you know, mate, that was some pretty objective blocking, and it definitely looked like that. One might say that he was weaving his tyres to get them up to temperature, but you can definitely see Northway's following him to try and get that slipstream, and Madden's made one move. He's made a second move,
side to side. How cool is
another
that?
move again. So,
but it's working for him. And what I understand is that there's actually no. Oh, Northway now takes a look.
Shows his nose down there at turn 1 there. Madden actually looked like he got a little bit loose on entry there. We're talking about under brakes. These cars are a little bit unstable at the moment. I wouldn't be passing into turn 4 here, Robert. You can try.
Now, don't forget though, Robert's got new tyres, right? So he's actually pushing Madden and he's on older tyres. And I don't think that was a tactic move for Robert Northway, because everyone else was on the similar tyres, so he didn't have to pit, unless we don't know something. There might have been something wrong with his car, because damage is on.
Yeah, an odd move there by Northway, as we can see. He shows his nose once more. Pitting on lap 1, whether or not he took tyres, I'm not sure, but you know, if you spend the best part of half a race on a hot circuit like Zhuhai in China, you are going to get a little bit of wear. In terms of the times though, oh, we see Madden, he gets loose and he gets a helping hand. Turned around. I think Northway might be saying you maybe deserve that one a little bit, Kyle.
That would be considered. He was already going round, right?
Yeah, it's a bit like, you know, in D1NZ, if a car is already on its way around and he just gets a helping hand, it's probably going to be
Rubbing's racing.
Yeah, we'll see the replay now. On entry there, he's on the white line, gets under brakes there. The car just turns around a lot. He tries to save it, and
it's just drifting.
I think he's already past 90 degrees by the time Northway gets to him.
I disagree, but that's okay. Right, so
what happens if we get a double protest?
Double protest. It's all in game. From my understanding, I could be wrong. I think all the judicial is currently in game. We're not going to be doing protests outside the game, purely because we're in a lobby system where all the we're all over the place.
Yeah.
Australia and New Zealand. So they're not here in studio like Project Cars last year. They will be, obviously, at the end. So lap 15 of 21, 134.896. And that is Monkey Matt out there, but Pluck sitting in second. Has Pluck pitted?
Yeah, he has. Everyone in the
Shields is
field
pitted.
has pitted, so it's interesting to see that Matt is the only guy who hasn't pitted, but he's still maintaining a pretty good lap time. He did a 134.8 versus a 134.3. Pluck isn't slightly narrowing that margin, but it was sitting at about 11 seconds before, so maybe just stagnating a little bit. We'll keep an eye on that margin in the next couple of laps because we imagine that Matt Smith will have to pit soon. Pluck sits second, Shields is third. That's a good recovery from Shields considering all the drama that went on with that incident that he had with Pluck. Same with Pluck to recover to get onto the podium. Then Northway, still sort of wondering.
Well, 6 laps for Northway to make up a 15-second deficit,
It's
or
huge.
more than that. There's just
I still don't understand why he pitted. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
get onto your little Discord chitty chat thing that you've got with the
Might
drivers.
have to find out.
And find out. Daniel Shields now gets a bit of screen time, sitting in third position, but he will be sitting in second position very shortly behind Pluck when Mr. Monkey Matt comes in for his compulsory pit. On the brakes, down there, unsettles the car a bit, hits the apex, comes through, double apex, straight back out, onto the exit. Now, if you're just tuning in, you are live with the Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship if you're on Sky TV. We are live out of the Sky Tower right at SkyCITY in Auckland. This is Championship 2, Round 2, in China, of all places, where you get the beautiful emails daily into your junk box. Often I get car part emails from China. Anyway, Logitech, Star Insurance Specialists, Daniel Shields on board, trying to cut down that massive deficit. He's only 3 seconds, 0.3 seconds behind Pluck right now. These two are going to be your leaders for first and second. Northway, a huge way down there. New Zealand Simon Bishop, not too far though, behind Northway. So Northway is currently vying for third position. And the only person that could take that is Simon Bishop. Simon Bishop is obviously, he did do a season last year, did he not?
Year before last in GD Sport.
GD Sport, right.
Interesting to note there, Matt Smith, by staying out, I think what's going to work out for him is he might actually end up on the podium here. He might get his first podium of the season because Northway is the best part of 30 seconds adrift and actually battling with Simon Bishop in P5. So Kyle Madden's the biggest loser out of this, who started on the front row. He was our pole man and he's finished down in P6. So a really disappointing effort from him. They've definitely made it exciting for us though for this race, and we're going to have another 21 lap race straight after this, but we'll have qualifying before that.
Qualifying before that. Now, the interesting fact on while we're on Pluck is Simon Bishop, he's actually spending 10 to 20 hours right now on these tracks practicing. That's huge commitment for these guys to put in. And he had, when he did the GT, he was the GT regional finalist. He took out the Logitech Australian New Zealand champion, and he also was obviously the GT finalist that we had here at SkyCITY Theatre, which is pretty impressive. On board with Pluck now. Dakata, as you would say. Does a lot of R factor on. So there's different. Can you, for someone like myself, I'm not going to try to dumb this down because I know a lot of people in here are very educated with esports and racing, but there's different iRacing. There's all the esports. Just 411 on that, Simon.
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of options that you can get into motor racing. I think R Factor was one of the earliest ones.
Right.
Gran Turismo probably even a little bit before that.
Yep.
iRacing is sort of kind of a spiritual successor to R Factor. R Factor was probably one of the biggest simulation games in the early days. We see Damien Main go for a little bit of a half spin there out of the hairpin. Yeah, I guess in terms of the scope of sim racing, Project Cars is relatively new. This is Project Cars 2, so Project Cars 1 came out I think around 2011.
Right.
iRacing is sort of the golden standard for a lot of people. Gran Turismo is sort of the golden standard for a lot of other people. Project Cars 2 is pretty close, but not quite.
It's so realistic though when you look at the Project Cars 2, as far as like when we explained Micro Motorsport Park last week, to every detail, what you see right now on the studio, those Yokohama signs, the rumble strips, the actual concave of the track is exactly how it is in China.
Yeah. And like, you know, with iRacing, they spend the best part of like $100,000 to scan a racetrack just for us to cut some laps on in a video game for a bit of fun. So
Sam Hunter getting
into the rear of Damien Main there. This is basically battle for ship stations at the moment down the order.
bragging rights. 7th and 8th position, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. 48 split seconds, 138, 139, so not too impressive on the old times.
Project Cars 2 is actually pretty interesting because it does utilise, it sort of covers a lot if you think about it. Like I guess some simulations will sort of focus to their bread and butter, but Project Cars does a lot. It does, a little bit of rallying with rallycross. It does circuit racing, it does drifting. You can drive Mad Mike's car in this if you really want to. And it's got a massive breadth of racetracks from all over the world, whether it's in China or New Zealand or North America, or they've even got some Scandinavian tracks with some old ice tracks if you really want to get amongst it. So Project Cars 2 is sort of a bit of an all-rounder. It does a lot of different things, GT3 racing, sports cars, single-seaters. Yeah, just about anything. It's sort of it's the go-to if you want to just drive like new or old.
Yeah, I remember last year we were having a good old go in Mad Mike's Rd2.
Yes.
And it's totally just ridiculous on the 1500 horsepower. Monkey Matt coming out of a pit now, so as you can see, that absolutely shakes up the field. Pluck, as we expected, moves up to first position. Daniel Shields, but Monkey Matt, he had that gap and he's done pretty well. Yeah. Such a quick pit.
So basically what we can tell from that is a pit stop takes the best part of maybe 20 to 30 seconds. Because he had an advantage of about 13 and now he's at a deficit of 9 seconds now. So his entry and exit speeds maybe have affected that a little bit. But fascinating now, Pluck only has a 2.4 second lead over Shields. And we know that Shields was fast. He was frickin' fast in round 1. Can Pluck hold on to the lead though? That's the question. He's got a bit of real world experience as a go-karter.
Karting, yep. He's 5th in New Zealand Championship. He's several podiums in the South Island. He's, Garden City champion. So transforming that into a car though, he's only spending 2 hours on the sim a week, where some of these guys are spending 20 hours a week. Looping back to the protests and the in-game penalties, our tech extraordinaire, Mrs. Potter, yes, they are on in-game, so you can protest within the game, which is pretty cool. All right, Daniel Shields on board now, 2nd position, you can see out there. Was that Pluck getting no wild? No, it wasn't. It's lab traffic. Pluck, as you can see in the yellow 488 up ahead. Lapped traffic coming up to Daniel Shields. So just hopefully get out of his way. Nice late braking by Shields.
Is that margin now coming down to under 2 seconds now? Not quite sure how many laps we've got left to go now. I'm sure it's only a handful with Daniel Shields 2 seconds back of Pluck. Can he narrow this margin down with only a few more laps left in this race? I think there might only just be 2. I think we're on lap 20 of 21. So he's got to cut down a second a lap and pass him if he wants to win this race. But Pluck has been outstanding, considering all the dramas. He's managed to keep out of the mayhem and the chaos. Northway, unfortunately, he's sitting down in P4. So that man who started on the front row, we thought he might have had the easy run through to the finish line, but he opted to take 2 pit stops. We'd love to know why. But he's finished down in P4 at this stage. Matt Smith in P3, a commendable result for him at this stage. There's still obviously 2 laps to go, so he's still got to make it to the finish line. It's not over till the fat lady sings, as they say, and Pluck. That margin is definitely coming down now. 1.6 seconds between first and second. Shields is on an absolute tear, but I'm not sure, without a mistake from Pluck, whether Shields will be able to catch him and pass him.
I'm just still so bewildered with why Northway did what he did. I don't get that, so hopefully we can get a bit of an update on that, because he basically just chucked himself away for a podium on there. Interesting fact that I was looking at is Robert Northway totally out the gate topic. Robert Northway actually used to compete in ballroom dancing, but in computer ballroom dancing.
Oh.
Yeah.
How?
What? I don't know.
How?
All right, back to Matthew Pluck. Oh, no, I'm told. Sorry, that is our man in the air. Just sending me wrong there. Thank you, Dan. No, it's real ballroom dancing, not computer simulation dancing.
Ballroom dancing.
Yeah, and he won competitions. PC. Apparently, he was really good at it.
We're going to have to do some fancy footwork to get up onto the podium at the moment, because he's 20 seconds back off the podium.
At the moment. Pluck. He's the one to see. Shields was obviously the one we saw last week, but Kyle Madden, 6th position. Not really just chucked it away.
Yeah, a couple of mistakes there, big mistakes, costly ones that have dropped him down the order now. So Matthew Pluck, we can see, gets a little bit loose on corner entry there. That margin is coming down to a second now. Can Shields mount a late attack? There's some drama potentially brewing here with some lap traffic just up ahead. Will he get out of the way in time? That front bumper is just flapping all over the place. We've only got a couple of corners to go. That's going to compromise his entry to the corner. So we see him actually take a little bit of evasive action off the track. Shields still just sitting at a second, the margin there. I think if we had maybe a couple more laps to go, Shields might have got to the back of Pluck and maybe had a chance to win this race. But at the moment, it looks like Matthew Pluck is going to round the final corner. Race 3 of the Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. Matthew Pluck is going to win it.
Pluck takes it
First
out,
win
ladies
as a
and
Kiwi.
Gentlemen, race complete there, and Shields shows his true colours after Christchurch last week in that strong finish. We didn't get him disconnect this time. Shields takes in third position. Monkey Matt, exceptional leading for the start for where he got, and third position for him. Fantastic pit stop for him.
Yeah, an interesting strategy to go long. I'm still really disappointed that Northway, well, I think he's disappointed too.
Spins it on the front
because
straight.
he's decided to send it into the wall and sustain a little bit of damage. He's still going to finish fourth.
Maybe
Simon Bishop, P5.
Maybe you heard my ballroom dancing. Oh, nearly takes out another driver comment. But maybe he was also just trying to chuck a Super 6 down the front straight and drift terms, doing a bit of a skid. But not a happy Robert Norfolk. But at the same time, these guys are also competing for championship points, guys. So points on the board. What these guys have got to remember in any motorsport, in any championship title fight, the points are the key. So Shields will be picking up all important. And that's going to be interesting to see where we actually end up with the points after this round.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. In terms of Kyle Madden, because he's down in P6 now. I'm just getting a message through. Looks like Northway actually had a drive-through penalty for a jump start, so that's why he's had to do another drive through the pit lane. So we just had a message there from one of the other competitors. Obviously, these guys have got their own Discord, they chat. Northway, a jump start, so I wonder.
Yeah.
I thought he got a good start.
152 points. So in first place, you get 200. Fourth place, you get 152 points.
Yeah,
so
still a good result.
Ladies and gentlemen, they race out of the first race, third of the actual championship. Matthew Pluck sitting in first position there. Daniel Shields in second position, and he picks up 180 points. And in third position, Monkey Matt, and he picks up 164 points.
Robert Northway in P4 there. Unfortunate for him with that jump start. We did say he got a pretty good start, but obviously a little bit too good. He has to take a drive-through penalty and finishes fourth overall. Simon Bishop down in P5 there, and Kyle Madden, our man who was starting on pole position, in P6. Damien Main picks up P7, Sam Hunter P8, Michael Robinson P9, and Alistair Coopers completes the top 10. Dave Roberts in P12 there. I missed Benjamin Crow, unfortunately, in P11. George Stark down in P13. Daniel Pinkham, disappointing down in P14. We expected a little bit more from him. Roy Oliver, P15, and Shane T in 16th overall. So a few more than average results for some of those guys down the order there, but I think it's encouraging, for some of those guys up the front there to finally get some good results like Monkey Man, Matt Smith.
You must be pretty happy with the racing coming from Mike Perrin Motorsport Park. Short, tight track, and then you come to the wide track, and it actually, in the first 3 laps, it delivered. It delivered some strategic pitting. It delivered some drama. So now the guys are all bedded in. We're going to see some really good racing in race 2, hopefully, and that's going to be coming up straight after the break. Remember, get onto our Facebook page to win yourself some goodies. We'll catch you back very shortly, right here.
The Star Insurance Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship is proudly brought to you in association with Logitech G, gaming with science.
Like us, you're passionate about cars. At Star Insurance Specialist, we create custom policies for Kiwis with exceptional vehicles. If you own a vintage, classic, performance, project or prestige car, your needs don't fit neatly into a box. We think special and unique cars deserve special and unique insurance. We don't let robots determine policy or price. Get on the road with a custom policy from Star Insurance Specialists. Go to starinsure.co.nz today.
Need a ride? Thanks to All Out and Let's Play Live, we are hooking you up. Simply download the All Out app and type in the code Let's Ride to get your first ride free. T's and C's apply.
The title fight is here. Join us at Manfield Raceway for the Galore Parks D1NZ Championship Grand Final. 5 drivers line up for their shot at the final podium of the season. For the first time ever, it's Nissan versus Ford. Will Darren Kelly score another victory for the RBs, or will Fanga Dan bring the V8 heat with Adam Davies right behind in his 13B rotary? Plus, it's the final round of the Turbo Smart Pro Sport Restricted class, with Michael Thorley battling Taylor James and Kurt Blackie for the 2019 title. Champions will be crowned. Mimico Industrial Machinery presents Round 5, the Grand Final, Manfield Circuit, Chris Amon, April 26th and 27th, 2019. Tickets at the gate or book online at d1nz.com.
War is upon us,
They might have found another kill. Carly out of position.
and there will be no dialogue.
He's just beyond godlike. The words speak for themselves.
Show no mercy.
It's gonna be a wash as everyone was either dead or retreating.
And be relentless. Enlist for war.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are live from SkyCITY for the Project Cars Championship. It's all about Ola. Just download the app online right now on your Android or your iPhone, and you can get a free ride thanks to them on Ola. And thanks for supporting Project Cars 2, the Championship 2, New Zealand Australia Championship. That's right. It's all about Australia right now, Simon, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, Matthew Pluck, though, he got one back.
He did. But the championship leaderboard says different, unfortunately. But, you know, it's about the second race and we can reclaim it. Could Robert Northway bring it back for us? Well, first, let's go to the track and track conditions, have a look at those, and then we'll get straight into qualifying. Maybe. No? We're going to be out track conditions now.
So here it is, Zhuhai International Circuit in China. 23 degrees ambient and a track temperature of 48 degrees centigrade, so quite hot. So we might have seen a few of these guys sliding around just because the conditions were so warm out there. Not a lot of a breeze, a little bit hazy out there, so definitely humid. China's known for that, obviously. Circuits like Shanghai, you go there for the Formula 1 Grand Prix and there's a lot of smog around, so these guys may be feeling the effects of that. Opportunities, as we saw, to pass down at turn 1 and down at the hairpin there. Obviously, you get pinged for your mistakes if you go off, because there's not tarmac runoffs like some of the other international circuits that we go to. It's just grass and gravel, so these guys have got to be careful as they make their way around the track. So they'll be heading out onto qualifying soon. And we'll get an idea of who's going to be the man to beat.
All right, so if you're just joining us, we are in the Project Cars Championship 2, brought to you by Star Insurance Specialists. We're live actually in the Sky Tower in the beautiful LPL studios, and this is coming up race 2, if you've just seen the track layout there. Now, Simon, those back corners, you come off the front straight, turns 1, turns 2, turn 3 and 4, that was where we were seeing a lot of action.
Yeah, guys were trying to make passing manoeuvres down there. It tightens up a lot on corner exit there. It's almost like a little bit of a chicane. It's a 90-degree left-hander, but then you almost immediately go right. So it narrows up a lot. It's a tricky little sequence through there, and then obviously a big high-speed sweeping right-hander. We've seen a little bit of drama in real life there, guys going off after a little bit of contact. So these guys we saw in the first race, a little bit of contact. Guys like Kyle Madden and
First 3 laps
Shields.
were amazing. It was really good.
The hairpins seem to be the place where these guys are trying to make their passes, but they're just getting maybe not using their mirrors, maybe just getting a little bit caught out on corner exit, getting a little bit loose, getting a bit sideways. And
well, that default setup too for that 488, unfortunately, it's not lending to them to be able to really chuck it into those corners.
Yeah, well, these guys probably want a pointy car, which means it probably understeers more than an oversteer. So these guys are heading into the corners and eggs are getting out. The back ends of the cars are just tipping out on them. So they're lighting up the rear tyres and they're just a little bit loose. So the traction control, they might need to wind up a little bit for this next race, but we'll have to see what happens.
All right, well, is it going to be Australia or is it going to be New Zealand? Well, first off, let's find who's going to qualify and who's going to start at that all-important P1 position on the grid. So let's go to qualifying. Oh, right, so we've been just told that qualifying obviously is not quite there yet. So in saying that, obviously join the Facebook page, get onto the Live HQ, the Let's Play Live HQ Facebook page, and you can win yourself the all-important Mammoth prize packs or that Lamborghini, the one you see at the bottom of your screen right now, Hampton Downs. They're giving away the flights, the accommodation, the drive of a
Huracan.
And
it's not just a Huracan too. You get to go on the go-kart track as well.
Get to go on the go-kart track too, and there's all sorts of other rides that you can go on out at Hampton Downs. You've got the go-karts, you've got they've got a Mustang out there.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, I think there's a few big facilities out there as well. Obviously, Mad Mike's now based out of there.
Who has a...
He's got a Huracan as well.
He's got a Huracan as well. So very important. That's ridiculous what he's done. Got a brand new Lamborghini. Obviously, we're meant to be talking about the race, but we're now going on to Hampton Downs, and he's just gone and cut it up.
Yeah, he's put bags on it too. I think he's called it. Was it like Slambull?
Slambull. Like
so it's part road car, part drift car, part show car. So that car is going to be pretty wild. It's going to make its debut at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and he's only got 3 months to build it. Probably not even that, because he's got to get the thing over there. He's got to ship it, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't take overnight to ship a Lamborghini.
Well, no, and I would imagine that flying it over there would be no change at 50,000 or 100,000 pounds as well. If you want to find out more information about that, you can check his page out. Of course, you can also go to the Let's Play Live HQ page to find out all about that Hampton Downs special, and or just get on down there and have a drive. Yep, and I'm going to obviously take this moment for a cheeky plug. Also, next weekend, the grand final, you would have seen the adverts between the advert break. It's the D1NZ grand final. Darren Kelly in their all-important Nissan-backed GTR. Now, that thing is insane. He's done a lot of development, but on the other side of it, you've got Fanger Dan, 2-time New Zealand champion. Darren's a 1-time New Zealand champion. This is a title fight. Manufacturers, Ford versus Nissan. It's pretty cool to see in the infancy of New Zealand motorsport, Simon.
Could you imagine 15 years ago, someone coming up to you and saying a Ford is going to be competing for the National Drifting Championship?
Well, Ford Mustang, Mustangs back in the day, they weren't the most appealing things, but right now, those things, those RTR beasts that you see coming out of Formula Drift in Australia, no, I wouldn't imagine that, because 15 years ago it was cut Springs and Safaros, and the sport's growing at an astronomical rate. You've got manufacturers back in it, you've got oil companies, tyre companies, and it's the fastest growing motorsport in the world. And you're going to see it all go down Manfield Raceway, and that's literally next weekend, next Friday, Saturday for the New Zealand Grand Final. What other motorsport have we got coming up, Simon, on the cards? You've got the North Island Endurance Series coming up. You just saw the finish of the Speedworks Motorsport New Zealand Series. How did that play out?
Yeah, it was pretty good. We completed that down at Taupo Motorsport Park last weekend with GDR NZ and Central Muscle Cars and RX-8s and RX-7s and Mazda Pro 7. So, yeah, the Premier Championship and the club side of things is just wrapped up last weekend. Big weekend down at Bruce McLaren Motorsport Park. So good to see those guys out there. And I guess now we're getting into winter, so endurance racing really kicks into overdrive. And and we get into some long form racing.
Long form racing. So what we're seeing in Project Cars tonight, short form, long form.
Well, this is only like, what, 21 laps?
Yeah.
So it takes the best part of maybe half an hour to complete a race around there, whereas, you know, with an endurance race, it's going to be between 1 hour or 3 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours or 24 hours. So they go on for a long time.
Right, we're getting it in our ear. We are now ready for qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go trackside and see who the movers and shakers are.
It's interesting to see how this session plays out. We've got 10 minutes on the clock. One man who we're focusing on right now, Kyle Madden, he will be looking for redemption. He looked to be the man to beat in qualifying, and we thought he was going to be the man to beat in the race, but costly mistakes meant that he finished down the order in P6. So we have to keep an eye on him. Another man to keep an eye on as well will be Daniel Shields, who's obviously... What's the pace setter in round 1 at Micro Motorsport Park?
133, we got a 132. Oh, sorry, previously round 1, but on the previous race was 130. Do we see a 132 out of the first race?
Yeah, a low 132. A 131 would be sort of world record pace for these guys. They were only a couple tenths off that in qualifying, so we'll keep an eye on these times as they come through. Still early days yet, they're just warming up their tyres. We'll keep an eye on Kyle Madden here, weaving from one side of the road to the other. He'll be putting a lot of energy and a lot of friction through those tyres, and that'll be warming them up big time.
So they've got 8 minutes and 40 seconds. So the first couple of laps, they're just going to get the heat into the tyres, much like you see at any motor racing circuit around New Zealand or Australia, and then it's straight into some of those flying laps. They're all important. If you get the P1, the P2, we don't do reverse grid, but you do see that sometimes in motorsport and speedway and so forth. Yeah,
reverse grid's sort of a bit of a thing that's fading out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's almost seen as a little bit of a gimmick now. So one thing that we are seeing in V8 supercars at the moment is some innovation around
weight transfer,
not so much about the centre of gravity, but how practice plays a part. So in practice, generally, all you've had to do is go out there, clock some laps, hopefully get your car set up right for qualifying, and she's hunky-dory, mate.
Right.
Whereas now, you actually, in the last practice session, you need to finish within the top 10, and that sets you up for qualifying, because the guys who finish in the top 10 get an immediate bye into Q2, whereas the guys who are basically 11th and lower have to qualify in Q1. So it's making elements like that a little bit more interesting. 3-part qualifying, knockout style qualifying. We probably wouldn't see knockout style qualifying in something like this, because we simply haven't got enough competitors, and it's a lot of time. But it's something that...
Well, you take your top 10, don't you? Bathurst,
into a
prime
top 10
example,
shootout.
you know, like the lap of the gods, Greg Murphy. You know, those are prime examples of you know, I'm not sure if that was set in qualifying, so excuse me on that front, but seeing those times and P1, a lot of different competitors or a lot of different competitions are now making that very a cool thing. They're giving big prize money. They're actually making a thing. If they're getting that P1, we've done it last round. P1 got $500, and they're going to be doing it this round as well. Currently in qualifying on screen, Matthew Pluck. He was the man for a lot of the race in the previous race.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he goes in qualifying. I'd like to see him qualify up the front, but at the same time, he came from behind to get that result in the first race there, so I don't really mind, to be honest now. So qualifying seems to be a little bit of a lottery these days, and for a guy like Robert Northway, I'm actually thinking back to last season. He had that jump start in the last race, but didn't he have some last year as well?
He had a lot of, unfortunately, he just... the
trigger happy.
Yeah, trigger happy, and the pressure got to him, or little things happened in the game that just didn't flow his way. But you know, the crucial part in any championship is sometimes you don't have to win an actual race to win the championship. It's about consistency. It's about just getting the points on the board. So Robert Northway right now, he's just got to be consistent. And when we get to the 4, 5, 6 rounds, and that way, you know, it'll help him take out that all-important grand prize at SkyCITY Theatre for race 7, for championship round 7. Sorry. Only 2 to 4 hours a night for Mr. Pluck, which is really interesting.
That's a pretty good strike rate.
Yeah, versus someone like Robert Northway, if he's doing competition time, he'll spend 20 to 30 hours.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's some pretty impressive times out on the sims.
So if you're watching this at home, Sky Sport or on Let's Play Live on Twitch, we've currently got 5 minutes to go here in this qualifying session. So qualifying is basically where you need to set a really fast lap time and try and be as quick as everyone else, and that determines the grid. But if you're watching on Sky Sport and you want to get involved in the conversation, jump on twitch.tv search up letsplay.live. Jump on the chat room and come join us. And if you've got any questions, you can send them through to us. We're keeping an eye on the chat at the moment.
Daniel Shields just waiting for some clean air and some clean track time, giving himself some space so he can get those flying laps. And currently sitting on the 1:32 up on the top hand, left hand side, split seconds. Kyle Madden actually showing his skills. Same with New Zealand's Simon Bishop.
Yeah, really close margins at the moment. Only 900ths between first and second at the moment. Shields a 1:32.221 versus Madden, who does a 1:32.319. Simon Bishop on a 1:33.288. He's a second adrift, so basically first and second in a league of their own at the moment.
Split times. They're all pretty actually. This is what we saw Mike Pro Motorsport Park race 2. Qualifying.
Yeah.
They actually all kind of sorted themselves out and actually got really good qualifying times.
Oh, that was a little bit awkward there. It looked like maybe Daniel Shields got balked by one of the cars there. I'm not sure if that was Northway. The livery looked like it might have been, but Shields was coming into the braking zone there and a car just pulled out right in front of him as he was under the braking zone. So a little bit awkward, an awkward moment there for Shields as he was on a flying lap.
So when we talk about a flying lap, ladies and gentlemen, you've got 10 minutes to qualify, and if a lap's taking you a minute 34, you're really going to have to sacrifice 2 to 3 minutes to get the heat in your tyres and get your mojo going. Once you've got your car set up, the heat in the tyres, you get, what, four to five good flying laps if you don't find any lap traffic or I guess, obstructions on the track.
And you don't want to burn up the tyres as well. So, you know, you've got to maximise the tyre life, and there's sort of a window in which they operate really well. You can see Daniel Shields is just warming up those tyres, so he's trying to get them up to temperature. I'm not sure they have to do much, considering that the circuit is, you know, sitting at 43 degrees at the moment.
So, in other terms, he's coming up to the... So this is what he was doing. He's warming up his tyres to come to this flying lap now. So he's prepping himself for this lap. So this is a good lap to watch Daniel Shields on, because he's obviously taken it seriously, because he's put some heat in his tyres coming down just before the front straight here. And he's got, obviously, lap traffic sitting right in front of him as well.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on Daniel on this lap. It looked like he got a little bit loose out of turn 1 and turn 2. He heads into turn 4 now. 90-degree left-hander, uses all the road on the right, comes across the left, uses heaps of curve. Gets a little bit loose on corner, exit there, swings left. He's going to come through this fast sweeping right-hander. He'll be full throttle through here, and then he'll be hard on the brakes into the hairpin. Now, he's obviously decided, no, I've made one too many mistakes on that lap, and he's just going to try and set him up for maybe one last flying lap, because he's definitely off the pace on that one alone. So Daniel Shields maybe just pushing a little bit too much, getting balked by the traffic a little bit too. Not doing him too many favours at the moment. He'll be hoping for a better result in race 2 today to hopefully mount a charge in the championship, because we saw at Mike Perrott Motorsport Park in Christchurch, Ruapuna, he really was the man to beat until that untimely little incident there in race 2 where he hit the wall and disconnected. So he'll be disappointed about that. He'll be disappointed about the race 2 result, or the race 1 result, I should say, from this evening.
Well, look, the world record in a 488 GT3 right now is a TX3 Rinpoku, and it's a 132.059. Driver based out of Japan. So, look, 132.221.
2 tenths, it's not much.
It's freaking good driving.
Yeah. Snap your fingers slower than that. So that's not much between these guys. You know, New Zealand and Australia's best and against some of the world's best.
All right, so still watching Daniel Shields here. I would imagine he's going to be still quite happy. He's sitting there in the 1:32.2. 1 minute 24 left, so he's going to try to fire it down and close out this lap with a good time.
Yeah, we'll just stay on board here with Daniel Shields as we go through a lap around here of Zhuhai International Circuit. It's hitting a lot of those apexes, which is really good, but it can unsettle these cars. They're quite stiff. They don't have a lot of travel in the suspension. Supercar has a lot of travel in the suspension, so that's why it can smash the curbs a lot, whereas a GT3 car can't. We're about midway through the lap here. Shields making his way around. We unfortunately don't have sector splits, so we can't give you an indication of how quick he is to the first sector, so we'll have to wait until the end of the lap to get an idea on whether or not this is a fast lap or not. So Shields looks relatively tidy, relatively clean, using as much road as possible, and a little bit more. Goes onto the grass that time. He's catching a little bit of traffic up ahead of him. Hopefully that doesn't affect him too much as he gets into the final hairpin. A little bit of a wiggle on entry there. This man, Daniel Shields, currently leading the way. He's only got 2 more corners to go. Head through this little fast sweeping kink and then into a hard braking zone, the final corner. Yep, using a little bit of curb on entry and on exit, grabs a little bit of grass as well. Let's see what this time is. He has a 1:32.221 to his name. Does he go quicker? No. So he stays first on a 1:32.221. That time, unfortunately, not quick enough to go faster and eke out that margin to Mr. Madden in P2. Now, Mr. Madden, obviously, he hasn't been able to find much time because that margin still stagnates at 0.098 in P3, though. Mr. Pluck, he's making some headway. He's only 7 tenths back, and looks like the margins are getting even more slim down in P4 there. Who have we got down in P4? I'm not quite
P4
sure.
Monkey Matt, followed by Simon. And then, really interesting, Northway, 9th position, so quite far down from Northway. So your Shields, your Maddens, your Plucks, your Simons, those are going to be the ones that you're going to watch throughout this race, and Maine as well. Northway, dark horse. Not sure why he qualified so bad there, but a 1:32.221 for our points leader, our P1, will get pole position off the start line.
Yeah, Shields he's definitely the man to beat after that qualifying session, but Northway, I'm disappointed to see him the best part of 2 seconds back down in P9 there, so maybe just looking for a challenge. Sort of have to wonder, considering, you know, he was P2 in the first qualifying session. Now he's only P9, so maybe a few dramas for him. Let's see, does he go quicker on that lap? No, that's Monkey Matt. He stays P4, that margin's still 8 tenths.
All right, so that's qualifying over, and we'll bring up that qualifying results. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, qualifying for race 2 of round 2, Daniel Shields, followed by Mr. 2 Australians, pole positions.
Get out of it, boys. Leave us alone.
But we've got Matthew Pluck, Garden City, Christchurch. Hopefully he will be our, and Monkey Matt, our 3rd and 4th, followed down there by Simon Bishop.
Sam Hunter in P6 there, Robert Northway managed to get up to P7 after we went off, and Motorised Kiwi, can't remember is that Michael Robinson, he's down in P8 there, Damien Main in P9, and Benjamin Crow rounds out the top 10. 2 seconds, the margin between 1st to 10th. Daniel Pinkham, again disappointing, down in P11, he's managed to find a little bit of time, but not much. Alistair Coopers, P12, Roy Oliver, Dave Roberts, George Starr, and Shane T round out the field.
All right, so some similar faces in the certain parts of the championship leaderboard. The guys down the bottom, it's kind of the guys sitting down there for Project Cars Championship 2, and the guys sitting up the top. So Shields, Madden, Pluck, you know, you got Robert Northway sitting down there. I'm still going to back Robert Northway on this one. I'm going to call, you know, $50 imaginary Monopoly money on Robert Northway. Make your bets there on Twitch, ladies and gentlemen. Place your bets right now. Simon, who are you backing?
Well, Shields was dominant in round 1.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in that race 2, he had that issue. In race 1 here tonight, he was okay. But yep. I think after that qualifying session, he'll be the man to beat.
He'll be the man to beat. All right, guys, don't forget as well, get onto our Facebook page, Let's Play Live HQ, get yourself a box of Mammoth, and also join in and try to win yourself a ride in that Lamborghini. Pretty epic prize, thanks to Hampton Downs Flights, accommodation. Come stay here in Sky City. Maybe tie it into, see if you can tie it into the grand finale in Sky City Theatre and make a weekend of it with the karts as well. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going racing. It's the Project Cars Championship 2, Australia versus New Zealand. Australia on pole position. Simon, take it away.
The field fans out as they head into turn 1. It looks like Shields maybe has a little bit of advantage, but Madden from P2 on the grid has managed to get the inside line into turn 1. He'll take the whole shot, but Shields will try and stick it around the outside. A little bit of a moment there for Pluck down in P3. They're a little bit loose. The field manages to make their way through the first 2 corners without too much drama. Shields looking to get down the inside of Madden into turn 4. We said there's not a good chance to pass through there. Madden gives him enough space just to make it through there without too much drama, and Pluck watches on in P3. Northway has had a stellar start from P7 to get up to P4. It looks like Monkey Man Matt Smith just sitting down there in P5 now. So we look here at Matthew Pluck, sandwiched between these Ferrari 488, these V8 twin turbos as they make their way down to the end of Sector 1. It's currently Kyle Madden who leads the way with Shields in 2nd, Pluck in 3rd, Northway 4th, Matt Smith in P5. These guys heading line astern down towards the stadium section.
Beautiful start there for the race in between Thirst and Knife. Oh, I spoke too soon. Commentators curse. Who was that? Was that Mr. Simon Bishop? We watch it. No.
I think it was Hunter.
It was Sam Hunter. Drops way down, but very tight-knit racing, only 4 seconds of a gap in between 1 and 10 currently right now, with Mr. AU himself, Kyle Madden, out in the lead, followed by Shields and Pluck and Northway. Like you said, stellar start. What an amazing start.
Oh, interesting to see. It looks like Pluck has made the early move to go into the pit lane. Whether or not he's got a penalty, we're not sure. Might have jumped the start. We'll have to keep an eye. Maybe he's going to make his first pit stop early, get out of the traffic and hopefully set some fast lap times. So, yep, looks like he's pulling into his pit bay to get his one and only compulsory stop out of the way. So now that leaves Madden out in the lead. Shields in second, Northway third, Matt Smith in fourth. Simon Bishop, an impressive P5 at the moment. That's his first top 5 that I can recall. It's a good result for him straight away. See if he can keep inside the top 5 and maybe keep Pluck away when he try and executes that undercut at the end of the race.
Yeah, well, we saw it with Robert Northway. You know, unfortunately, he got that penalty, and had he not got that drive-through penalty, he would have probably been on that podium position for race 1. We see AU, Shields, Northway. So he's in a good position. It's nice, clean racing at the moment. No one's attacking. They're just getting into the form. And further on down, Simon Bishop. Where is our pit man? He's out now.
Yeah, so Pluck is down 14th. In 14th. Yeah, so he's the best part of 22 seconds behind. We said, thought the pit stop would take between 20 to 30 seconds. He's down 22 seconds behind the lead now, so we'll have to see if he can execute an effective undercut on these guys. Whether or not he took tyres, we're not sure. You do have that option. The only rule is that you just need to come in. Just come in, take some fuel maybe. You don't have to take tyres, but you just have to come in. So currently, as it stands, Madden leads ahead of Shields. There's only the best part of a car length between them. Madden goes on the defensive to the far right on the inside of the front straight here. Shields has got a good run in him though. We'll have to see, can Madden hold on to the position? Northway watches on in P3. These guys had a little bit of drama in race 1 tonight. Can they keep out of trouble again? Shields just on the outside. Madden gives them hardly any room as they head into turn 3 here. Turn 4 is where there might be a bit of drama. Gets out on the curb there. He's got the inside line. Shields has set up a brilliant pass, possibly. Bit of banging there. Wheel-to-wheel contact there between Madden and Shields into turn 5. Oh, I don't know. That might have caused a little bit of damage to these guys because Northway has managed to catch up to them too. Shields gets a little bit loose. Maybe he has a puncture. We'll have to see how this plays out. It looks like Northway.
Oh, doesn't get him now. Northway's in a great position here, sitting in third position. He's watching these two. They're fighting it out, and then he can just wait for them to do exactly what they just did and just take that dive.
Yeah.
Beautiful racing here by these guys. Clean racing. Oh, by Northway. Again, commentators spoke too soon.
Way too deep into that corner, and that's allowed Pluck and Shields, sorry, Madden and Shields to get out to the best part of 2 seconds now in the lead. So a costly mistake there from Northway. He didn't need to do it this early on. It is only lap 2, I'm pretty sure. It's lap 3 here at Zhuhai International Circuit, and that's allowed Matt Smith to get onto the back of Northway now. So a costly mistake there from Northway. Matt Smith will try and tuck under the rear wing of Northway to go down to the front straight and try and get the slipstream and get a pass executed into turn 1. He's a little bit far behind at the moment, and Northway's using a lot of the track to try and get a good run out of the final corner. So Shields, head of Madden from Northway, Monkey Man Matt Smith in P4 and Simon Bishop in P5.
All right, and we've even got lapped traffic coming up as well. So we're on board with Monkey Matt now, 4th position. Look at the split times right now. It's so close in between 1 and 5, but then you go and it drops out dramatically. Pluck just 22 seconds behind the leaders. A huge distance there, but remember that all these guys have got to make that pit stop, ladies and gentlemen, so it's going to change that board. And I would imagine if Robert Northway can't close that gap up, he may do that strategic move and take that pit stop coming up shortly. Lap 4 currently.
Yeah, Matt Smith a little bit loose on entry there, but it hasn't cost him too much time. Northway not doing the best job trying to catch up to Madden and Shields. Those two are in a class of their own at the moment here. Definitely the king of the castle at Zhuhai.
The Australians.
Bloody Australians, eh? Can we just handicap them? Give them like Australian Success Palace or something? 5 kgs, 5 seconds or something, I don't know.
Well, look, Northway's sitting there, and he was the same last week. Oh, wide though for Shields as we come back around the backside of the track. Look, Northway was in the same position last week, and you know, he managed to hold on. But all you've got to remember is as they come through this is just to keep it consistent, keep those championship points. They come back down the front straight now. riding on board currently with Kyle Madden. And we look at the times. You'd see the huge difference, the 132s that were banked in last laps. You know, we were seeing 134s, but now as they settle in, we're going to the 132s.
Well, this is actually interesting.
132.925.
This is sort of qualifying pace that we were seeing just beforehand. So Shields and Madden are not slowing down for this race. Generally, you see these guys try and take it a little bit easier in the race to conserve their tyres, but Madden, he was the best part of half a second quicker than Shields on that last lap, so he's cut that margin down to 6/10 now. Shields will have to fight back and hopefully stretch that margin back out, but it looks like Madden is the man who has the pace at the moment. Definitely under brakes. Oh, he gets a little bit loose there though, so that costs him a little bit of time. That margin just stretching out to a 1/7 of a second now. Northway and Matt Smith fighting for the last step on the podium, but don't count out Pluck. Pluck is 24 seconds back, so he's maybe a little bit off the pace. He did a 1:34.0 that last lap, so he's the best part of a second to a second and a half off the leading times by Shields and Madden. So that undercut that we were talking about in the first race, not really working out for Pluck here at the moment, but we'll have to see how that plays out.
Northway and Monkey Matt having a good little chase there, and we see Pinkman and Hunter both have taken their pits, so they've obviously Pluck, Pinkman, Hunter all taken their pits, and you'll see, I would imagine Northway, is he going to hold right out to the end? Is he going to battle this out, or is he actually going to take the early pit again?
Well, he pitted late, obviously, last time for his actual pit stop, but that first pit that he made was actually for...
Was it the first pit that he...
that was the penalty.
Does the game automatically take him to there, or can he choose?
He can choose when he needs to come out.
All right, on board with Monkey Matt, currently sitting in fourth position, 1 minute 34.125, so 4 seconds behind the leader of Shields at the moment. Shields on lap 6.
Shields managing to come back a little bit there. He was a 10th faster, a little under a 10th faster than Madden on that last lap, so he must have been listening to us because he's done a 1:32.8 versus a 1:32.9. Madden, yeah, just sitting about 6/10 back, really loose on entry there, and it looks like he's had a bit of a half spin, so that's going to cost him a lot of time. That margin blows out to the best part of 2 seconds now, so a costly mistake there from Madden, trying to catch up to Shields. He just pushed a little bit too hard, and now he's fallen right back and into no man's land. So Northway in P3 and Monkey Man Matt Smith down in P4. They're fighting on their own, and this has left Shields just to
here's the replay coming up, just again sideways and just buttons off. Didn't want to over rotate it, didn't want to go 180, so probably a good idea there just to button off and then put foot back up.
That was a smart move there from Madden, because we saw in the first race he sort of kept his boot in it out of the hairpin, and the thing just switched around on him. So obviously maybe thinking about that first race was like, oh, just, you know, take the foot off the throttle, let the thing straighten out, and he carries on. So that margin now out to 2 seconds now. So Shields did a 1:33 flat. This is a 1:34.6, so 1.6 seconds that mistake cost.
Pluck jumps up another one down further down the field, 12th position, 25 seconds still behind.
Northway.
Northway chucks it away again.
Oh, another costly mistake by Northway. He's dropped back. Best part of, like, what is that, 3 seconds now?
3 seconds, well, 1 second behind, 1 second behind Monkey Matt, but so it wasn't too bad. We by the look on our screen, it looked like he was going to go for the full 180, but managed to obviously save it. So, and he's a man that can still bring it back as well. Here we go. We have a look here. Oh,
it's just that entry oversteer. The thing just snaps around. So these guys clearly not liking the braking performance of these cars. And now Northway has got Simon Bishop to contend with to keep the top 5 position. Keep in mind, though, that Pluck is down in P12. He's trying to execute an undercut and could be the man who ends up winning this race if he can actually execute that effectively. He's now up to P11 now and isn't far off the top 10.
Northway now, you can't discount Simon Bishop as well. He's got quite a fair knowledge of sim racing and championships under his belt, so he'll be able to challenge Northway for the position of 4th and apply the pressure more than anything.
Yeah, definitely. I think Simon's probably been a little bit disappointed with his performance today. He did say that Shields and Madden are sort of in a class of his own. I think Simon's probably more accustomed to Gran Turismo Sport, having gone over to Tokyo and competed over there. As we can see, Northway goes a little bit defensive there on the front straight. Maybe Bishop can get a move done into turn 1, but Northway comes back across his nose and negates the effect of that slipstream.
Nicely done. All right, ladies, if you're just joining us, we're Project Cars 2. It's the second championship for Project Cars 2. We're live out of the Sky Tower. That's right in Auckland in the Let's Play Live studios. And if you get onto our Facebook page, Let's Play Live HQ, you can actually win yourself a ride, or a drive, I should say, a drive in a Lamborghini
Huracan. It's not that hard.
Simon. There you go, it is right on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. So pull your phones out now if you're watching on Sky TV. If you're on your phone and watching on Twitch, you can do it after Let's Play Live HQ. And you also get to go karting, flights, accommodation in the beautiful Sky City. And then you can go blow all your earnings and all your wages down at the casino.
Do you reckon we'll get to, once they bring the top 8 up, do you reckon we'll get to do another karting challenge at Hampton Downs?
Well, you got to bring up the karting challenge.
I'm just a big fan.
You're a big fan of just driving people off the track. Full send.
Into turn 5.
Yeah, but
Robert Northway goes.
Last year's champion, Jordan Penny, did exactly the same thing.
He took me out.
So competitive. Well, you deserved it because you took me out.
I'm not allowed to win it.
I was leading that race.
Yeah, and then the rain came halfway through. Yeah. It was like a real-life Project Cars race, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was good in the dry, but I
sucked in the rain. Started off dry. I hit a puddle. Couldn't see if it was actually raining. It starts raining halfway through. I send Robert Northway off into the weeds and finished P2.
That was amazing.
Great race. I got covered in shambles.
If you guys are wondering what we're talking about, just check out the Let's Play Live HQ page on Facebook in the videos, and you'll be able to see some epic highlights from the karting. And they're actually really fast, cool go-karts. It's different to go out to Hampton Downs and actually have a go on them. They've got a lot of undulation changes. It goes up on a big banked hill, so you're coming down a hill full throttle. And you hit the curbs and you do actually get a wheel up. So it's quite a fun little course. And you would have seen everyone. As Matthew Pluck takes a look down the inside, but gets it a bit loose and loses it. Unfortunate for Pluck, he doesn't execute it. Oh.
Wow, that was really fascinating. It looked like Pluck tried to do a reversary on him and just locked up his brakes into turn 1 and went way too deep, but he's managed to finally get past.
Oliver
looks like Oliver
back down.
So Roy Oliver drops down to P11 now, but the interesting thing is we see Robert Murphy's Law Northway, I should say, battling with Simon Bishop. So Bishop has managed to mount an attack on him. Pluck is 29 seconds back now, so that battle that he's had with Roy Oliver, has
he needs to squeeze it back up.
Yeah, it's cost him the best part of 3 or 4 seconds. So now he's 31 seconds adrift.
Oh, Northway gets it. Now we go for back to Matthew Pluck.
Watch the thing just step out under the brake, so he has to have a big correction. Roy Oliver just steps on it, but I think he actually gets out on the grass there, and that allows Pluck to get back by. So he was like, I kept the position. Oh, geez, I've got to focus, boys. So Robert Northway currently holding on to P4 at the moment, but only just. We wondered whether or not he would be the man to beat, but at the moment it's Shields, who currently holds a 3-second lead over Madden.
Now those times have they've gone back.
Blown out a bit, haven't they?
Yes.
So 8 seconds down to Monkey Man Matt Smith, and Northway is now 10 seconds adrift. So Daniel Shields, he's basically done a Ruapuna, and he's come back out and just blitzed them all.
Now, it doesn't have a huge gap on Kyle Madden though. He's only got a 3-second lead, which is, it's not enough to get the undercut, or he doesn't need to do the undercut at this stage. But Pluck, he's climbing back up. He's in 9th position now, but he's still got a 30-second. So he's got a really, what were you saying, a fast pit time would be 20, 25 seconds?
Yeah, give or take. Your exit speed and your entry speed to the pit lane are the big things for these guys. So
Alistair Cooper's now coming out of the pit as well. Actual screen name though is Dave Stone. I'm gonna use their right names.
Dave Stone.
So Wild Western, Matthew Pluck coming in. Nope. Simon Bishop still going past Robert Northway.
Robert Murphy's Law Northway looks really loose at the moment. He's like an elephant on marbles at the moment. The thing is just sliding all over the place at the moment, and Simon Bishop is a man on a mission trying to crack the top 4 here at the moment. An opportunity to maybe get onto the podium if he can get by Northway, who looks to be holding him up at the moment, and maybe catch.
He didn't. Now Northway didn't swing to the right to get out of let him get out of that slipstream. So he's going to get it right now.
Right if he wants to. So
is he going to get the braking? No.
Oh, interesting. So Simon Bishop just holds back there that time, maybe hoping that Northway goes a little bit too deep. Great racing here between these two, battling for 4th and 5th on the road now. Bishop has got a good exit out of turn 2. Can he send it down the inside into turn 4? Nope thinks better of it because it's way too tight down there. And as we've seen before, there's been a bit of drama if you try and go 2x2 into that corner.
Now, there's obviously also penalties as well, contacts with other cars. You can actually get 20 points taken off you if you make contact. If you do an intentional crash, 100 points off your championship. Crazy. So basically, chuck out that win that you just got. If you induce a multiple crash, so other people crash around you, you lose 200 championship points.
No
and
good.
that's you know, the game says it, you're done. So that's a big one.
See you later.
Simon Bishop, some beautiful driving here. He's showing the skill. He's actually gone overseas, you were saying, and competed.
Yeah, he went to Tokyo and competed in the, I think, the Oceanic division of Gran Turismo Sport. As we see him on board now, we're on the nose, just showing it to the inside of Robert Northway, hoping that Northway makes a bit of a mistake and an opportunity comes, but he is nose to tail with that Ferrari in front of him. It seems like only a matter of moments now before Bishop can get by him. He's actually flashing his headlights now.
Bit of tactics in the game now. The question is, do you need a rear vision mirror in racing, Simon? Do you look at it?
Well, I think Robert Northway, his is full at the moment of Simon Bishop as he goes all the way to the right of the pit straight. Bishop is in the tow, sends it to the left. Can he hang around the outside to get a pass done on Robert Northway? Oh no, he's made a mistake and he spun on his own.
I was about to say exceptional driving here from Robert Northway and Simon Bishop, but he just chucks it away. Now, usually that's something we would see Northway do. So, unfortunately for Mr. Bishop, you know, multiple podiums under it. We go to the replay here. Exceptional driving down the front straight, and just here again the same thing we keep seeing with these Ferraris, and they should know.
Really loose. Really, really loose on corner entry. So Bishop makes a costly mistake there. That's going to end any hopes, I think, at this stage of a top 4 finish, unless something drastic happens. Key thing to note now, Pluck is now up to P8 now, so we'll keep an eye on him. Monkey Man Matt Smith sitting in P3, Madden in P2, and Shields in command of this race as we hit halfway. It's lap 12 here of 21 at Zhuhai International Circuit in China. Who is going to come out on top? I'm really fascinated to see if Pluck can get a successful undercut.
Well, 31 seconds right now. If Shields just extends that gap a little bit, you'd look at seeing Shields just pip him as he comes out of the pits, but when will Shields pit is the question. Currently, you see him up the top. He's on lap 12 of 21, 133.449, and then you've got Pluck 32 seconds behind. We're on board with Sam Hunter now, further down the pack. Currently sitting in 12th position.
So just take a moment here to look at Sam Hunter, who just goes for a full 360. I suppose if you're going to be on camera, you might as well make the most of it, right?
What do they say? You know what they say? If you're not winning, you know, you're crashing.
Yeah, you better be doing something good.
Yeah, you've got to get the screen time.
I always used to like watching supercars and keep an eye on the guys who were really bad, and generally the ones that crashed had the most sponsors because they generally got the most TV time.
Yeah. You do see it. People love crashes. You just look at some of the viral analytics and statistics that we get on our social media. You know, D1's astronomical. We'll have a car crash and you'll get 500,000 hits. And you get the same for a Ford versus Nissan battle with Darren and Fanger, 500,000 hits. So you know, people love it. Daniel Shields on board right now, way out front. However, way out front in front of the person that's trying the undercut, Pluck, a 32-second gap right now, but only he just extended it on Kyle Madden of 4 seconds.
4 seconds.
Clean air there for Daniel Shields, but still hasn't actually extended into those fast 132s as you see that they were doing in qualifying.
Yeah, well, he's cool, calm and collected like an Ola driver, so, you know, it doesn't really matter at this point, the margins. He just needs to be, you know, nice and smooth, manage those performance gaps to Madden. If he can continue clocking 133s, mid 133s, he should be all right. So we'll go on board here with Daniel Shields. We'll do a lap at Zhuhai International Circuit, and you can have a listen to this beautiful twin turbocharged V8 powered Ferrari 488 GT3. So here we go. Shields comes down the front straight. That was the lap of Zhuhai International Circuit here at China. Still that lead, sitting around 4 seconds to Madden. Madden hasn't been able to eke into that margin ever since he made that little bit of a mistake there. Monkey Matt down in P3. Best part of 10 seconds behind the leader now in Northway, 13 seconds adrift. Simon Bishop after that costly mistake, that mammoth moment, he's now down in P5. Pluck now, P6. He's slowly working his way up.
33 seconds of a gap. You've got to give it to him. Shields, only 20 years of age. He's a young racer.
Not bad for a young'un.
Not bad for a young'un. The young'un from Australia, Daniel Shields. You've actually got quite a few Australians, as we said, all from different around the traps, even one nice and close to Bathurst as we go to number 6, the man that has the undercut. Remember, the other boys haven't pitted. Pluck on board, well, not on board right now, on camera right now as he comes around turn 1. Currently sitting in 0.19, 0.33. Huge deficit between 5th and 6th right now, Simon. Look at that, 18 for New Zealand Simon Bishop, 33 for Pluck. So lots of clean air though.
I think the interesting thing that will happen now is when these guys come in for their one and only pit stop, whether they take tyres or fuel. So they need to take one. Fuel's going to take less time. Some guys might want to take tyres though for that little bit of extra grip, but as we saw
So it's compulsory, we're saying, to take one or the other?
One or the other. You just have to make a pit stop. And generally when you do a pit stop, you can't just sit there and do nothing. So you need to change one thing. So whether or not they take tyres or fuel or both, it'll obviously have more time. I think adding tyres takes a lot more time.
Cold tyres too though? Such a good idea to come back out on cold tyres.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing as we see Daniel Shields. So he's coming to the pit lane.
Here we go, ladies and
see
gentlemen. Let's
what he
watch
takes.
his tactics, see if anybody else follows suit.
So it looks like maybe just taking fuel.
All right, drops 116, 126.
So let's keep an eye on the leaderboard on the left there. Shields there. He's currently down at P4. Bishop goes by. Now Pluck. Is Pluck going to get by? Let's keep an eye on the front straight. Shields comes out. Where is Pluck? Coming out of the final corner now. So Shields has got the best part of a straight in front of Pluck. So that undercut for Pluck and maybe that battle there, that mistake that he had there with Oliver as well, has just cost him so much time. So here we go. There's Pluck now. Pluck down in P6, Shields in P5. So we should see, I think the way that it'll work out is we'll see Shields leading from Madden, Matt Smith, and then Northway, Simon Bishop, and Pluck may be battling for that 4th place. So we'll see what happens in the next few laps. We've only got 6 laps left here at Zhuhai International Circuit in China.
Roy Oliver takes a pit. No, he's already pitted though.
Yeah, I think he might have.
So whether that may be a drive-through penalty or I guess a Mr. No-no from the stewards coming through there. So we're on board with Kyle Madden, who's out on the lead currently still at the moment, but he still has to take his pit here for Project Cars. Here we go. Here is the pit for Madden, current leader. So what you're looking for is Shields and Pluck.
Oh, takes out the cones on the entry to the pit lane. That's an aggressive way to make your way into the pit lane. So Madden.
Now the question is, will he get penalised for that?
No, I don't think though. That's just sort of an alternative way to get in. So Madden's going to come out. Murphy's Law, Northway will come in as well. He was a little bit behind this battle. Let's keep an eye on it now. Shields is still P4. Madden is still shown as being in the pit lane, and now he's out. So Madden has dropped behind Shields. We'll see what the margin is between these two. Not much, considering what the gaps were before. It looks like Shields a little bit loose there. That margin, maybe similar to what we had before. It was about 4 seconds, so maybe it's just dropped down to 2, because it now looks like Shields is 11 seconds behind Matt Smith, and our P3 man Madden is now only 13 seconds back, so only 2 seconds between these two after their first pit stop. So that mistake, we thought, might have cost Madden there a little bit, but obviously it hasn't, because he's managed to make up 2 seconds.
So Northway gets out there as well. So you're really not counting right now the person in first position, are we, Simons? We're counting Shields, and then we'll count Madden. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And then you look at the split times on your right-hand side of your screen there. 10 seconds, 12 seconds. So there's 2 seconds between first and second currently, and there's a big gap of nearly 10 seconds between Madden and Pluck.
Yeah, so this is the battle effectively for the race lead.
Here.
So Matt Smith currently your leader. He's got a 10-second margin, but that won't be enough once he does his one and only pit stop to maintain a lead. So Shields, Madden P2 and P3 at the moment, but effectively fighting for this race win. Pluck sits in P4. He's done an okay job to maintain a podium position here, but unfortunately has dropped back a little bit behind these two leaders. So he, unfortunately, probably won't be battling for the lead unless these two come to blows again.
All right, don't forget, if you are just tuning in from Sky, live on Sky, we are live inside Sky Tower in Auckland, New Zealand for Project Cars 2. It's the ANZ Championship, Australia versus New Zealand, and yes, that is an Australian in the lead, Daniel Shields, the local Brisbane man, 20 years of age, followed by Mr. Madden AU, and he is sitting only 2 seconds behind currently, and also from Australia. So right now it's looking like a clean sweep.
Possibly? Is Pluck from Australia?
Pardon me?
Is Pluck from Australia? I didn't think he was.
No, Pluck is not from Australia. I was talking about first and second, so Pluck sitting in third.
Yeah, so not a complete clean sweep of the podium for the Aussies at this point, so maybe 1-2.
Pluck is a Christchurch man, and he is the one who has, he's done a lot of R-Factor and a lot of sim racing.
In real life racing?
Yes, in real life racing. He's fifth in the go-karting. Great way to get into motorsport, ladies and gentlemen. If you like sim racing, go-karting would be your next best bet. It's definitely a cheaper alternative, and it does still give you that right next to the other person racing, like I have with Simon at Hampton's Down.
That visceral experience.
Yes, where you just kind of want to push the person off their go-kart. So, and there's kart tracks all over New Zealand. Monkey Matt now comes in, so he was your champion, your leaderboard there on first position. He didn't have a huge gap, so you'll see him drop down very, very shortly. So, kart sport and kart tracks all over New Zealand. It's a great way to get in, and it's for all ages as well.
Yeah, speaking of kart sport, this weekend is the Kart Sport Nationals, and the one and only Scott McLaughlin is racing there.
Oh, wow, whereabouts?
Yeah, Hamilton, so not too far from here. So if you're in Auckland or Hamilton or anywhere around that sort of region, head on down to Kart Sport Hamilton, where you can see Scott McLaughlin racing. I think Chris Vanderdrift is actually racing as well. His brother's going to be there too. A lot of up-and-coming stars. If you want to get your eye on some of the future supercars and Formula One champions possibly, head down to Kart Sport Hamilton this weekend.
Prime example, Scott Dixon. He went from Scott McLaughlin, all of them. Champion Gisborne, karting, then they went to Formula First or open wheelers and just slowly made their way up.
Yeah, totally.
As we see someone off the track at the moment, Daniel Shields still out in the lead. 1:33, only a split second behind is Kyle Madden. Monkey Matt actually came out in third position.
Wow.
That epic pit stop.
I did not expect that.
Did not expect that as well.
Pluck now down in P4 after we thought he'd get that undercut, but he's got a good run here. Oh, Matt Smith, this might be a good battle to follow. While Shields and Madden try and squabble over P1, Shields will have to try and keep on to it while Madden tries to eke into that margin. But here is the gap for P3 and P4. There's only a second between Matt Smith and Pluck. Northway's 3 seconds behind these guys, so if these guys keep battling, Northway might be able to jump in on this battle and maybe scavenge a podium, but we'll see what happens.
It's all about those championship points as we are in round 2 of the championship, race 2. Winner will pick up 200 all-important points, and if it's Shields, he is going to get a leapfrog on the actual championship. Maybe we might be able to bring the full championship round report at the end of the racing, but no doubt we will have the report of the round. Matthew Pluck on board right now. Big, heavy braking coming down the front straight there for Pluck. Just trying to really close that gap on Monkey Matt at the moment. You look on the left, right-hand side of the screen in the yellow, 0.1 second. 11.7, 12.4. Northway, though, still 3 seconds behind.
So we're nearing the end of this race now. I believe we've only got 2 laps to go here. Shields leading Madden by 1.7 seconds, and then the battle for third between Pluck and Matt Smith is starting to heat up now. Matt Smith gets really loose into the hairpin, and that allows Pluck to get right onto his rear bumper there. Looked like maybe Pluck got a little bit out of sorts there. Wasn't really sure what Monkey Man Matt Smith was going to do. He was climbing all over the corner there.
So we've got lap traffic coming up as well, which is going to make it even more fun. Oh, Matthew Pluck now playing and dicing with the apex. Nice move there for the lap traffic just to sit on by it. So it's pretty good of them to just, you know, you see it in racing as well, normal racing out on the racetrack, just to let those guys really vying for first, second, third to pass on by.
One thing to note as well, it looks like Northway might have made a mistake because he's dropped back quite a substantial amount, the best part of 10 seconds now, down to P5. So he's out of this battle for the podium, but can Matthew, can he maybe pluck one out of thin air and try and get a podium here? Matt Smith, can he hold on to P3 at the moment? Shields, that margin is down to 1.2 seconds now. So Madden is maybe just cutting into it as we go on to the final lap. Here it is.
Shields with only a 1 second advantage over Kyle.
Oh no, plug gets a little bit loose there, and that's allowed Matt Smith to get away. So it looks like this should be Matt Smith in P3, but here it is, the battle for P1. Daniel Shields currently leading Madden. You can see that margin is coming down. He just needs to make it through the final few corners, and he'll be home and ho. So about halfway through the final lap here at Zhuhai International Circuit in China. Just 1 second between Madden and Shields, and a bit like race one, I think if there was maybe 1 or 2 more laps to go, Madden might have had a chance here. So Shields, he's got redemption, it looks like at this rate, just 9/10 the margin, so it is slowly coming down now. Madden just finding a little bit of pace here late in the race, but I don't think, unless Shields makes a mistake, it's going to be enough. Heading into the final hairpin they go. Shields is really squirrely under braking, and he's just losing the rear end of that car. Madden looks really settled as they head through the hairpin. Just 2 more corners to go, 8/10 between them. Shields, I don't know that he's going to get caught here by Madden. They're going to head into the final corner now. Daniel Shields, he's got redemption here at Zhuhai International Circuit. He's going to claim race 4 of the Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship here in China. A great win for the Australian. It's an Aussie 1-2 with Madden in P2, and it looks like Monkey Man Matt Smith is going to claim the final spot on the podium. A well-earned P3 considering where he started at the start of this race. Pluck will claim P4, and it looks like Northway can just scavenge P5, a top 5 position at the end of this race if he can make it through without drama at the end of this corner.
Robert Northway again tries to do the Super 6 into the... I don't know whether he's trying to Super 6. Oh, massive crash by Northway. Now, I'm guessing that was over the line.
Oh, I sent him straight.
Yeah.
So Simon Bishop gets P6. And it looks like Michael Robinson is P10, but in P7, not sure who that is. But anyway, it's Shields who claims the win here by a mere 8/10 of a second over Madden as they come down around for the final few corners, make their way into pit lane. Shields
now this would be a Van Gisbergen salutary lap. Drifting, doing skids, but unfortunately the game just doesn't let you do it.
Well, you got traction control.
Yeah, right.
It stops you from doing skids.
It's a fantastic point there, Simon. Bugger, those guys turning that on, eh? And that's exactly what Robert Northway, I guess he knows that he's got traction control on, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the game, once you pass that white line, isn't going to penalise you for, you know, because there's some heavy
well, he's classified in P5. I'm not sure I really like seeing a guy crash a car across the line, but anyway, Daniel Shields finally gets one. He won the first race of the season, but he hasn't had one since until now. Gets his second win of the season, 2 from 4. Mr. Madden takes home P3. Matt Smith, a commendable P3 there, the first of the Kiwi time.
That's right, Matthew Pluck rounding out in 4th position, and Robert Northway, not the results that he really wanted to deliver tonight. The 2 Curcuit boys, you know, hey, still great for the Kiwis there. Simon Bishop also really started strong, but just didn't finish where he wanted to.
Just faded a little bit at the end there. Would have liked to have seen him get a top 5, but I think now you can comfortably say these top 6 are your contenders for the championship. Motorised Kiwi Michael Robinson, a really good result for him considering he was the wooden spoon last year. Damien Main picks up P8, Alistair Cooper's P9, and Dave Roberts P10.
Scrolling further a bit down the championship, the race board there, where are we? Dave Roberts 10th, Daniel Pinkman, the Lemons winner in 11th position, Sam Hunter 12th, Roy Oliver, some whoopsies on the track unfortunately, puts him in 13th position.
George Starr in P14 and Shane T rounding out the competition. Unfortunately, it looks like we might have had one of the guys drop out of the competition, so...
Yeah, unfortunate for him. So, guys, stay tuned. We will be back after a short advert break. Make sure you get onto our Facebook page and win yourself some Mehmet and their awesome Lamborghini flights, accommodation, and staying here at Sky City. Stay tuned. We'll be back very shortly.
The Star Insurance Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship is proudly brought to you in association with Playtech. Technology at play.
Like us, you're passionate about cars. At Star Insurance Specialist, we create custom policies for Kiwis with exceptional vehicles. If you own a vintage, classic, performance, project or prestige car, your needs don't fit neatly into a box. We think special and unique cars deserve special and unique insurance. We don't let robots determine policy or price. Get on the road with a custom policy from Star Insurance Specialists. Go to starinsure.co.nz today.
Need a ride? Thanks to All Out and Let's Play Live, we are hooking you up. Simply download the All Out app and type in the code Let's Ride to get your first ride free. T's and C's apply.
This is just clinical.
The title fight is here. Join us at Manfield Raceway for the Galore Parks D1NZ Championship Grand Final. 5 drivers line up for their shot at the final podium of the season. For the first time ever, it's Nissan versus Ford. Will Darren Kelly score another victory for the RBs, or will Fanga Dan bring the V8 heat with Adam Davies right behind in his 13B rotary? Plus, it's the final round of the Turbo Smart Pro Sport Restricted class, with Michael Thorley battling Taylor James and Kurt Blackie for the 2019 title. Champions will be crowned. Mimico Industrial Machinery presents Round 5, the Grand Final, Manfield Circuit, Chris Amon, April 26th and 27th, 2019. Tickets at the gate or book online at d1nz.com.
Do you have what it takes
Tied up, they go for the 3 to win instead. Oh, yes!
to hoop against the best?
He's finding some points, he's finding some easy buckets.
Oh, ready!
We are on the search for the best bowlers across the country. Test your skill and see how you stack up against the strongest.
Karu green beans, and that is just crazy. All the way through. Oh.
Don't miss out on your chance to stand with the elite. Sign up now at cybergamer.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live from the beautiful Sky City Project Cars 2 ANZ Championship. And remember, you can be a part of the grand final. That's right, in the Sky City Theatre. All sorts of goodies. $5 to come along. Tickets at Ticketek. Be there. It's going not to miss. Someone, Australia or New Zealand, hopefully New Zealand, will walk away with the big $3,000 check. Now, Simon, better racing than last weekend without a doubt. What are some of the highlights that you saw in that race?
Literally just a better racing, I think. You know, it was good to see these guys fan out a little bit more. Rapuna, you know, starting the season on quite a tight and twisty technical track, made it a little bit tough for overtaking. So getting to Zhuhai, a track that is probably about 3 times the width in parts, I think that was really good for the racing, and good to see 2 different winners.
Right.
coming through. So yeah, good to see Pluck and Shields get the wins.
So, talking about Pluck and Shields, you've already had a chat to some of these, and you've got a bit of intel.
Yep.
What are the thoughts from the drivers from that race?
One of the interesting thing was Matt Smith. He said he was sweating at the end of the race.
Right, because he was up there, wasn't he?
He was podium contention, and he managed to get P3 in the end. We also had, I believe, Matthew Pluck. He reckons that he got balked a little bit by traffic. So. He's blaming traffic on why he didn't win the race. We also had a few other guys in there maybe complaining a little bit about the traffic. So, yeah, Daniel Pinkham, he reckons he got taken out by Roy Oliver, unfortunately. So maybe a protest coming there later on tonight.
But maybe that's why I'm pretty sure we saw Roy Oliver go back into the pits again for a second pit stop.
So maybe
you might be right there, Pinkman, but maybe you need to go back to Lemons and just learn how to point the other people in that 24-hour Le Mans race coming up. But very awesome stuff. Now, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, get onto our Facebook page. It's Let's Play Live HQ Facebook. You can actually check out all of last year's Project Cars Championship as well, and highlights and the go-karting from Hampton Downs, where Simon actually took me out off the track.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, and Jordan Penny. Jordan, if you're
I was on the podium. Brendan wasn't.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Just very bitter about that. When the rain came down, I was leading until the rain. Anyway, Hampton Downs. Go to the Facebook page. You can win the ride and the drive in the Hurricane. Huracan. You can win flights, accommodation, and you can also win a night here at the beautiful Sky City. It's pretty cool one to be. So we are going to check out the tournament ladder, the results. So let's have a quick look at that. Simon, just run us through where we sit after race 2, round 2.
Real fascinating. So this is obviously just today's results. Daniel Shields gets a whopping 380 points. So he was 4th in race 1 and got the win obviously in race 2. So he nets a healthy margin over, it seems, Matthew Pluck down in P2 there. Monkey Matt, P2 and P3 across the 2 races. Really good result for him. Daniel Madden, P1 and P2 across race 1 and race 2. So not sure how these points are working out there, but it looks like Madden has made it up to P4 there, and Murphy's Law P5. So interesting results overall.
New Zealand Simon Bishop rounding out and now for the 268, 220. Now these are all important points because it is a championship title fight, and we have a look at the tournament ladder now. Who is leading it? Wow.
It's Madden.
It's not Daniel Shields.
Yeah, so Madden has made his way up into P1 there. Matthew Clark, after finishing P2 overall tonight, has managed to make his way up to P2 overall in the championship standings. He's only 8 points back behind. Daniel Shields has gone from P6 to P3. Robert Murphy's Law Northway up into P4. He would have been hoping to be a lot higher than Matt Smith in P5 there.
Look, New Zealand Simon Bishop 536. So 1 to 5, it's still anyone's game. It is early days, but that 1 to 5, there's only 100 points in the game. So it's going to be an interesting one coming into next week. We'll be here at the same place, the same time, both here on Sky TV and Twitch. And of course, if you're in the Lower North Island, selfless, shameless plug, get to the D1NZ Grand Final. That will be there, Nissan versus Ford. It's been a pretty cool one. Check out all the competitions on our Facebook page, Let's Play Live HQ, and make sure you get in there and interact with the drivers on our Twitch one as well. Simon, any last words on the event, on 2 races?
I'm looking forward to next weekend.
You're looking forward to next weekend?
Yeah, should be good.
Good stuff. Well, my name is Brendan White. Been a pleasure being in front of you guys. On behalf of Simon and myself, stay tuned and get onto our Facebook page, and we will see you back here next week, the same time. Bye for now.
This LPL Pro presentation was proudly brought to you by Star Insurance.